which was not a difficult trail. It's one she'd been on earlier in the day, and she doesn't show up at the bottom. John's down at the bottom, he's waiting for her. After a little bit of time, he starts to think, okay, maybe she got hurt, maybe she fell down, I'm not sure. He starts making his way over and looking up the trail. He can't see anything, there's no indication that someone's been hurt. And he starts looking for another 20-30 minutes, he can't find her. Ski patrol goes up, and they're looking for tracks coming off of the trail, a sign that maybe someone fell off and went into the woods. But there's no tracks anywhere of somebody leaving the trail, so the ski patrol gets in touch with the sheriff's office, who come out and launch an absolutely massive search. But by the end of the day, there was no sign of Dr. Wong, and even more strangely, they had searched all 75 trails on Bear Valley Ski Resort, and there was not one indication that someone had skied off of any of the trails or even walked off any of the trails. The search continued for another 2 days, no sign of Dr. Wong. They began reviewing all of the security footage, and any instance where she was on camera, there seemed to be nothing wrong. At the end of that second day, the weather got much worse, temperatures dropped, and this huge snowstorm rolled in, and the folks in charge of the search decided it was too dangerous to continue. Plus, at this point, they believed that it was impossible for Dr. Wong to even still be alive. At this point, they told the family that they are considering Dr. Wong deceased, and they terminated the search. It was around this time that newspapers and people in the area began to speculate that this was not an accident, that either Dr. Wong willingly decided to vanish, or foul play was involved. There was no proof of either one, but it just seemed so bizarre that there was this massive search and there was just no sign of her anywhere, no tracks, no anything. It just felt like something's amiss here, we just don't know what it is. Her husband John ended up taking a lie detector test, which he passed, and investigators began digging into their marriage a bit to see if there was some underlying problems, and it looked for all the world like it was 20 years of a very stable, healthy, happy relationship. There was no sign that Dr. Wong would be looking to, escape her life and run off with someone else. 4 months after she went missing, her remains and ski equipment were found about a half-mile south of the ski resort in this deep ravine, heavily forested, well off any marked trail. Bone fragments and remains were scattered over a quarter-mile trail along this ravine. This area had not been previously searched because when they initially launched the search for her, this area was so steep and so difficult to get to, plus there was 8-foot snow drifts from the ski resort all the way to that area, that they decided it would have been impossible for her to get there. So how did she end up in this impossible area, and why weren't there any tracks leaving the mountain? Some say the scarcity and dispersal of her bones over that quarter-mile track indicates that after she had been deceased, animals had kind of ravaged her remains. Others say that an animal is responsible for this attack, and that's why her remains are scattered over a quarter-mile track in this impossible area. But what kind of an animal is able to sneak up and grab a person off of a very populated ski resort and drag them this half-mile away without leaving any tracks or raising any suspicion? In 1991, Corey Fay was a 17-year-old high school student in Beaverton, Oregon. On November 23, 1991, Corey and 2 of his friends decided to go elk hunting. Corey was not an avid hunter, but he went hunting enough that he was competent, and he had taken survival training and was always very well equipped anytime he went out on a hunt. So the 3 of them load up in a truck, they make their way out to this hunting site, and when they get there, they decide to split up and meet back up at the truck at 6:30 that night. That night, at 6:30, the other 2 hunters came back to the truck, but not Corey. He was nowhere to be found. The other 2 hunters briefly went out looking for Corey, and they couldn't find him, so they called the sheriff's department, who comes out, and they launched this absolutely epic search. They had helicopters, they had horse teams, they had 250 ground searchers. They had 7 of the world's best scent-sniffing dogs in the whole world are part of this search. In over 10 days, that group covered 12 square miles where Corey would have been. Towards the end of this 10-day period, when this all-star search team had come up with nothing, people began to wonder if the other 2 hunters had accidentally shot and killed Corey and maybe buried him. But those search dogs never found the gravesite. The official search was called off on December 1st, but many volunteers stayed out for weeks and weeks, combing the area, going well beyond the bounds of that initial 12-mile area they searched, and nothing was ever found. The sheriff's department that was in charge of this search was so perplexed by the fact that this amazing team of searchers couldn't find anything that they ended up contacting the FBI, which indicates they were suspecting foul play, because that's the only reason the FBI would get involved. But almost nothing happened in Corey's case for In September of 1992, two hunters were hunting about 10 miles away from where Corey had gone missing, and they discover a rifle, a backpack, and a jacket. They don't know whose it is, so they turn it over to the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department comes out, and they're able to confirm that they all belong to Corey Fay. A new search was ordered right around that area where his belongings were found, and all these searchers came out and did a grid search, and all they could find were a couple of bone fragments and his tooth. No large bones, no rib cage, no skull, nothing. And interestingly, they also never found his pants or his boots. But now that they had some of his remains, the sheriff's department was looking at where they were found and looking at the time of the year when he went missing, and they realized that to go from where he went missing to 10 miles away, 3,000 feet up in elevation to where some of his remains were found, he would have been in waist-deep snow for over 5 miles. People were skeptical about him making this trek because it didn't make sense, but his family in particular really didn't believe it. Corey's grandparents said in an interview that Corey had taken these survival courses that he would talk about all the time, and one of the main things they teach you is in a survival situation when you're on a mountain, in particular when it's cold, you never go up. If you go up in elevation, temperatures will drop, the risk of hypothermia increases. So for him to have wound up 10 miles away and 3,000 feet up in elevation is basically doing the opposite of what he was trained to do. And his grandparents said that Corey was incredibly level-headed. There's no reason that in a real survival situation that he would have just thrown that out the window. He would have relied on his training. So the million-dollar question is, why are his belongings and bone fragments 10 miles away and 3,000 feet up in elevation? Did he defy his training and go there on his own, or did an animal attack him and drag him there? But if it's the latter, what kind of animal drags a 17-year-old with his rifle and his backpack 10 miles up 3,000 feet of elevation in over 6 feet of snow? And where is the rest of him? All we ever found were a couple of bone fragments and a tooth. So like all of these missing 411 cases, we're left with a lot of unanswered questions, because that's the whole deal with missing 411. These are baffling, but that doesn't stop us from speculating about what could be happening. And not only will I respond to the early commenters, I'll also pin the best theory at the top of the comment section. If you want to learn more about Missing 411, please check out David Paulides' book series called Missing 411. I provided a link in the description below where you can purchase those books. Also, David Paulides has a YouTube channel that I provided in the description below as well. Go over there, subscribe, and check out his content. I also have a Missing 411 playlist that anytime I do any episode like this, I put in there, so you can check that out too. If you enjoyed today's episode and you haven't done this already, please offer the like button a Coke, but secretly give it a Pepsi. Also, subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter. My username on both platforms is JohnBallen416. I also have a ton of content over on TikTok where my username is MrBallen. If you have a story suggestion that you think might fit this channel, please submit it to our subreddit called MrBallen. I'm on there every day, and if I intentionally use your suggestion, I will absolutely credit you. So whether I see you on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, or some combination, I'm just incredibly thankful for your support, and that's going to do it, guys. Until next time, see ya. People are going missing in national parks and forests all over North America under baffling conditions. In some cases, people will be looking right at someone, they'll turn around, and when they turn back, that person's gone. Or people will go missing and then turn up again in locations that are impossible to get to. One man, a former police detective named David Paulides, discovered that there were thousands of these cases and no one was looking into it. So he began looking into it and started putting all of his findings in a totally fascinating book series called Missing 411. On today's video, I'm going to highlight 3 Missing 411 cases about people who went camping and then things went horribly, horribly wrong. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right place, because that's all I do, and I upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please offer your seat to the like button, and then when they go to sit down, pull the seat out from under them. Also, please subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. In 1984, 1985, Kevin O'Keefe was a 36-year-old outdoor enthusiast that lived in Sacramento, California. He loved being out in nature, going hiking and camping, and in fact, he had always wanted to go camping in Alaska. By the summer of 1985, Kevin was actually doing research on areas in Alaska that he could potentially go camping, and he settled on this area called Glacier Bay National Park, which even by Alaskan standards is particularly wild and totally remote. Kevin planned to go camping on his own, so he decided he would need to take a class on how to survive the Alaskan wilderness because he's going to be out there by himself and he's chosen this place that's incredibly rugged. So he actually enrolled and participated in a class teaching you how to go camping in Alaska. Then on September 20th of 1985, he flew from Sacramento to Juneau, Alaska, where he commuted his way up to Glacier Bay National Park. When he arrived at the park's headquarters, he went up and introduced himself to the park rangers that were working there. He told them he'd be over near the Wolf Point area, which was an area right against the water, and he said he was going to be here for about 3 weeks. He planned on leaving on October 10th. So everybody who works there is aware that there's this guy, Kevin O'Keefe, who's going to be by himself for almost 3 weeks camping near the water. No one in Kevin's family or any of the park rangers heard from Kevin for the next couple of weeks. But the whole point of this trip was basically to escape reality and go live in nature for a few weeks so no one's raising any red flags. A few weeks later, on October 8th, which is 2 days before Kevin said he was planning to leave the park, which he told park rangers and they knew he was there, a couple of park rangers were in a boat patrolling some waterways around Wolf Point, which is the area where Kevin was camping. The rangers decided to take a bit of a detour to get inside of Wolf Point and actually check in on Kevin and just see how he was doing, because they knew he was out good for himself. They're making their way down, and as they turned this last corner where they could finally see Kevin's sight, immediately they knew something was wrong. The first thing they noticed was Kevin's tent was not in the area that it was supposed to be in. There was kind of a designated spot on the soil where you'd place your tent, but his tent was actually down a few meters on this beach that butted up against his campsite, and some of his gear was outside of his tent. Not strewn everywhere, but outside of his tent. He had placed it outside. As they're looking at his tent, they realized that the top strut that kind of held the top of the tent together was folded down. It looked like it had broken right in the middle. They called out for Kevin. He was nowhere around, and they kind of rationalized what they saw. They thought, he's leaving in a couple of days. My guess is he's probably preparing his campsite for an exit. Maybe he went out to, go on a day hike or something. I'm sure everything is fine. So they leave and come back the next day just to double check. And when they arrive, there's been no change. The tent is still sitting down on the beach with that strut collapsed. His gear is sitting outside of his tent like a sleeping bag and sleeping pad. It's clear that Kevin has not been to this campsite since the last time they saw him, which was 24 hours earlier. So now they're outright concerned and they decide to launch a search for Kevin. They began flying little airplanes over the area where Kevin's campsite was and the surrounding areas. No sign of Kevin. They brought ground searchers with dogs on his campsite. They're looking everywhere. No sign of Kevin. But they did discover at his campsite that virtually all of the equipment you would expect to be at a campsite in Alaska of someone who's staying there for a few weeks, well, it was all there. He had his backpack fully packed as if he was going to go on a hike. It had food, it had extra clothes, water, it was all packed right up against a tree. All of his sleeping equipment and his cooking equipment, and oddly, there was lots of food that Kevin still had left at his campsite that was out in the open, and no animals had touched it, which is a complete anomaly. As they began searching the outer areas of his campsite, dogs were able to locate Kevin's boots, his glove liner, and his hat. They were tucked away in this gully about a half-mile away from this campsite that they were not visible to the naked eye. It took dogs finding it to locate these items. After finding these items, the early speculation was it looks like Kevin was attacked by bears or some other predator. But the park rangers, who knew this area extremely well and had seen other bear attacks, said, I don't think this is a bear attack because there's no sign of a death struggle anywhere at his camp. If you get attacked by a big predator, you're going to fight for your life to save yourself. You're going to grab onto things and flail around. It's fairly obvious, and there's none of that. There's also no blood or remains or any indication that someone was hurt in this space. And if an animal had come into this camp and attacked Kevin and eaten Kevin, they certainly would have taken the food that was out and about in the campsite. But none of the food was touched. As the investigation continued, rangers would say how strange it was that no wild animals are coming into this campsite. There's no activity, there's nothing in the area. It's like the animals are staying away from Kevin's campsite. When they couldn't find any sign of Kevin, the investigators went to speak with Kevin's family and asked them, did he have any signs that he was looking to end his own life? Do you have any information you can give us about him? And they said no, he was really happy, well-adjusted, excited about this trip. He had taken a class to prepare himself for this trip. He told us that he planned on taking a couple day hikes, but no overnights, and he had no plans to meet other people while he was there. He was just looking to be on his own in nature. But after just a few days, they had to call the search off because there was no sign of this guy. He was just gone. Knowing that all of Kevin's gear was still located at his campsite means he did not leave to go on one of those day hikes that he had told his family that he might be going on. Because going into the wilds of Alaska without your gear is a death sentence. So Kevin must have been at his campsite when something horrible happened to him. But we know it wasn't an animal attack because there was no sign of that and no animals were coming near this campsite. So if it wasn't an animal attack, then what was it that caused his tent to shift down to the beach and have his gear strewn about on the sand and have his boots and glove liner and hat be located a half mile away in some gully? And where's Kevin? In 2000, Patrick Whalen was 33 years old, and he was described as being an outdoor enthusiast, bordering on full-blown survivalist. He had hiked thousands of miles across the Pacific Crest Trail and had spent hundreds of hours camping inside of national parks, in particular the Glacier National Park in Montana. That was his absolute favorite place to go. In fact, he spent so much time there that the park rangers recognized him and knew him by name. On November 2nd, 2000, Pat was driving in Kiowa Junction in Montana when he hit a deer. Witnesses say that he stopped his truck, he got out, walked over to the deer, pulled it to the side of the road, took a pillow out of his truck, put it under the deer's head, and then he went and got food from his truck and put it near the deer's mouth, and then he just walked away. He abandons his truck. It's unclear whether his truck was not operational at this point or if he was just abandoning his truck, but either way, his truck would get towed the next day. 6 months after the deer incident, Patrick's father called the park rangers at the Glacier National Park in Montana, and he said, "I haven't heard from my son in months, and I'm worried about him. I can't get in touch with him. If there was one place he would be, it would be at your park. You've seen him." The park rangers, who again, they all knew Pat, they said, "We haven't seen him, but we'll keep an eye out for him." A couple of weeks later, 2 of these park rangers were out on a routine patrol through the park when they come across a very odd scene. They saw this blue tent sitting in the middle of this campsite with no one around it, and the middle strut that held the tent together was collapsed. They yelled out to see if anybody was inside the tent to make sure everything was okay, but no one calls back. They walk over to the tent itself, and they can tell that this tent has been out here for some time. It looks very weathered and sun-bleached, but there's no tears in the fabric, and all of the zippers are shut. When they opened up the tent, there was no one inside, but there were all the things you would expect to find inside of a tent at a campsite. Water, food, stove, boots, clothes, it's all in there. But again, the tent is collapsed, and based on the pattern of sun bleaching on the outside, it had been collapsed for some time. When the park rangers filed their report about what they found, they noted that it was really odd that no animals had ransacked this tent, because clearly it had been sitting here unoccupied for a while, and there was food in the tent, but no animals had touched it. Authorities show up and they begin searching the area for Pat, no sign of him. They bring out cadaver-sniffing dogs. They don't pick up any scent. One of the issues they were up against was they had no idea how long it had been since he had arrived here and then subsequently disappeared, because they actually went to the tow yard where he had his truck towed following hitting that deer 6 months earlier, and his truck was still sitting in the tow yard. So he hadn't claimed his truck. That was 6 months earlier, and here we are in a tent in the middle of the woods, and we have no idea where he is. But the most interesting and terrifying thing that was discovered was inside of his tent, there was an empty buck knife case. So the sheath was there, no knife. David Blytus offers a very interesting theory about why it was there. He suggests that while Patrick was living at his campsite, he must have been in his tent one night and he hears something outside of his tent that apparently was formidable enough that he felt the need to take his knife out and go out into the open to confront him. He gets out, mosquitoes were very bad in the area, so he probably hopped out, zipped his tent shut for a minute. He's standing there with his knife to confront whatever this is, and then he doesn't go back into his tent. whatever was out there apparently got the best of that. But we can't just say he was attacked by an animal, because there was no blood, there was no remains, there was no sign of a death struggle in that campground, and the food that was in his tent was untouched. No animal had tried to rip open the tent to get to the food, something that animals do after they attack people at their campsites. So the million-dollar question is, if it wasn't a wild animal that he was getting out of his tent with his knife to confront, then who or what was it? And where's the happening? In April of 1976, 19-year-old Stephen Thomas was asked by his good friend Bruce Weaver if he wanted to join Bruce and Bruce's 4 other friends on a hike in New York State. Steve didn't know these 4 others, but he really liked Bruce and he loved hiking, so he agreed to it. The mountain they were going to climb was Mount Marcy. It's one of the biggest mountains on the East Coast, and it's very rugged, it's very windy, the temperatures drop dramatically towards the summit. It's a dangerous place unless you treat it with respect. On the morning that Steve was leaving for this hike, his mother told him that she had a bad feeling about the hike and that maybe he should just cancel, because it didn't seem like a good idea to be hiking such a rugged mountain with people he didn't know. But Steve, who had a lot of experience hiking, said it was totally fine, he was eager to go, and that he would see her in a couple of days. On April 12, 1976, the 6 men are making their way up Mount Marcy, and they get near the summit by about 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, and even though they could have pressed on and made their way up to the summit, they were all really exhausted from the trip so far, and they decided they would make camp where they were, and they would attack the summit the next day, and they were all eager to do that, with the exception of Steve. Steve didn't want to stop. Steve was sitting in Bruce's tent looking at the map of Mount Marcy, and he said to Bruce, "Hey, do you want to go for a quick walk with me? I just want to walk up the path a little ways." And Bruce was like, "No, man, I'm tired. Let's just go tomorrow." And so Steve just continued to stay up looking at this map. He made tea for himself, and at some point, he folded the map up and said, "Hey, Bruce, I'm just going to walk up the path a little ways. I'll be right back." Bruce told Steve this was a bad idea. Don't go up there on your own. The temperatures are dropping. It's getting dark. It's windy. It's just a disaster waiting to happen. Plus, we're all going to be up there first thing in the morning, so there's no reason to go up right now. But Steve was like, I just don't want to sit here. I'm going to just go. So Steve begins to walk out. The other hikers that he didn't know too well are like, "Hey, man, just stay here." But again, Steve's not listening, and Steve continues up the trail. When Steve left, he must have thought he was only going to be gone for a few minutes, because he threw on a rain jacket, a yellow rain jacket, over a t-shirt and pants, because he'd been sitting in a warm tent. He just threw on a jacket, and he left his backpack. He just walked out with no supplies and began walking up this trail. At the time Steve was walking down that path, the snow was very hard packed, so it was easy to walk on, and there was a full moon, so there was great visibility. So it was a good night to be doing what Steve was doing, albeit if it had just been for a few minutes. So as Steve is walking away from the camp, even though the other hikers were annoyed with him, they weren't concerned. He had loads of hiking experience in Washington State. He was very eager to do this. And again, it was well lit. The snow was hard packed. They're thinking, okay, he'll be gone for a couple of minutes and then we'll see him again and it'll be just fine. After about an hour, it was dark and the temperatures are now well below freezing, and Steve has not come back yet. And he was not dressed for the sub-freezing temperatures. So the hikers walk a little ways down the path and they're yelling out for Steve, but there's no response. They decide that they have to go up the path and look for him because the conditions are going to kill him if he doesn't come back and get in his tent soon. When they go back to their tent to get some of their equipment to go make this trek to go find Steve, one of those 4 hikers that Steve did not know particularly well had brought his dog along for this hike, which apparently he always did. This dog was highly energetic, went everywhere with this guy. He loved hiking. Anytime the dog could go out and go run around, it would do it in a heartbeat. And when this hiker went in his tent to not only get his own gear, but to get his dog and bring his dog with him to look for Steve, the dog refused to leave the tent. In fact, it cowered in the back of the tent and acted like it was scared of something that was outside of the tent. The dog's owner would tell investigators later that he's never seen his dog act that way. He was acting scared of something to the point where he would stay in the tent and all the hikers would go looking for Steve. The dog would rather be alone in a tent, totally isolated, than leave that tent. That's how scared he was of whatever it was that was out there. So the men go out looking and they can't find Steve, and after a little bit, they end up going back because it's just so dangerous to look for him in the middle of the night. So the group heads back to their tents and they're just praying that he found shelter somewhere on the mountain. The next morning, as soon as the sun came up, the hikers immediately start looking for Steve, yelling for Steve. There's no sign of him. And at some point, half the group leaves and walks the 4 hours down the trail to a vehicle where they could go drive and get authorities, while the other 3 continue to look and stay near the camp just in case Steve were to return. Once authorities were notified, they launched one of the largest search and rescue efforts in the history of New York. They spent 2 weeks combing this entire mountain. Helicopters, dog teams, searchers on the ground, they are looking everywhere. There is no sign of Steve, even though he had this bright yellow jacket on. They can't find anything. He's just totally gone. After the official search was terminated after about 2 weeks, Steve's older brother, Bob, who was 26 years old, in amazing shape and very close with his brother Steve, he quits his job and moved to the Mount Marcy area and spent a whole year searching every inch of this mountain. Veteran park rangers at Mount Marcy would joke that Bob knew the mountain better than they did. Bob had apparently walked over 2,500 miles on Mount Marcy and had summited 600 times or more, and every time he would take a different route and search all along the mountain. He has looked everywhere, and he can't find his brother. Although Bob would never find his brother, he did locate the remains of a hiker who had gone missing 3 years earlier, so he was able to provide closure for that family. So why did Steve feel the need to walk up this trail in the first place? And then what was the dog so scared of after Steve vanished? Because the dog never acted that way, but suddenly something was so terrifying on the outside of their tents that it abandoned its owner and huddled in the tent in fear. And then how could Bob have missed his brother Steve, who was wearing a bright yellow jacket, after combing every inch of this mountain? The only logical answer is that Steve is not on the mountain. But if he's not on the mountain, where is he? So like all of the missing 411 cases, we don't know what happened to these people, and we probably never will. But that doesn't stop us from theorizing about what could have happened to them. So get in the comments and give me your best theory about what's happening to these people. And not only will I get back to all the early commenters, I'll also pin the best comment at the top of the comment section. If you enjoyed today's story and you haven't done this already, please offer the like button your seat, and then when they go to sit down, pull the seat out from behind them. Also subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly uploads. If you want to learn more about the missing 411 phenomenon, I would encourage you to check out the Missing 411 book series by David Paulides. He's the one who created Missing 411. He's the one doing all the research. It's incredible. I put a link below in the description of how to purchase his books. I've also included his YouTube channel where he talks about a lot of these cases as well. I also have a Missing 411 playlist that I've included in the description below. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or Twitter. My username for both platforms is the same. It's JohnBallen416. I also have a ton of content over on TikTok where my username is MrBallen. If you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit. It's just called MrBallen. It's linked in the description below. I read that every day, and if I intentionally use your suggestion, I will absolutely credit you. So whether I see you on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, some combination, I'm just incredibly thankful for your support. And until next time, guys, that's going to do it. See you. 40 years after a U.S. Army soldier went missing on this desolate Alaskan island, researchers make a startling discovery that changes everything about that case. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right channel, because that's all we do, and we upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please sneak up behind the like button and viciously rear naked choke them. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Alright, let's get into today's stories. Was in the backseat of the car next to his 2 older siblings, and his father was driving the car. And they were on their way to this big family party at Rowan's grandparents' house. They lived in Richmond, New Hampshire, which is a pretty rural part of New Hampshire, and their house was literally in the woods. You had to go down this really long driveway to get to it. And it was this single-story home where they cleared out all the trees in the backyard to kind of clear a space to have these awesome cookouts for family get-togethers. And so Rowan, his 2 siblings, and his dad, they get to the entrance of the driveway that's going to bring them up to the house, and they can already tell there's tons of people here because there's cars lining the driveway all the way out to the street. And so they make their way up the driveway, and sure enough, right in the backyard, there's a sea of adults and teenagers and kids. It's this huge family reunion. and Rowan and his two siblings just take off running to go play with their cousins. And so for the next couple of hours, the kids were just running around having a great time, and the adults are having a good time. And at some point, the adults started to notice, after the fact, they would say they noticed this, they started to notice Rowan was chasing a cat. There was a cat that lived at the grandparents' house, and he loved the cat. He was chasing it all around the backyard. And at some point, Rowan ran into the woods to chase after this cat. And a number of adults saw him do that, but it was like mob mentality, where they each thought somebody else was watching Rowan. They were not trying to be negligent. They just figured there's so many people here, what can go wrong? In a very short period of time, Mr. Griffin realizes he can't find his son. And so he goes to the kids and he's like, hey, have you seen Rowan? And they're like, oh yeah, I think he was chasing a cat. I think he was over there. And then Mr. Griffin asks the adults and they say the same thing. Yeah, he's chasing a cat. I think he was over there. And after looking around for him and everybody basically saying he was chasing this cat and not being able to find him, he just started yelling to the group, hey, everybody stop for a second. I can't find Rowan. Everyone's telling me he's chasing a cat. Well, then can you tell me where he went? I don't know where he is. And pretty quickly they realize he's not in the house. He's not in the backyard. He's not at the end of the driveway. He's not in any of the cars. He's not here. And very quickly, the group started yelling for Rowan. They're running out into the woods. They're looking for him. And Mr. Griffin is like, I don't know how long he's been gone for. And so he calls 911 right then and there. He's not taking any chances. And so the police come out and they launch this huge search. And then all these locals in the area that had ATVs and four-wheelers, they came out and they're driving around the forest looking for Rowan. Everybody's yelling for him. There's hundreds of people out there. But as the sun started to fade, they still hadn't found him. They had found no indication of where he went. They assumed he made it out into the forest because the last sign of him was he was chasing a cat into the forest potentially, but they really didn't know. And so finally the sun does go down that night and they have to postpone the search until first light the next morning. And you can only imagine how horrible that was for Rowan's parents as they're sitting inside that night wondering what's happening to their 2-year-old son who's just out in the woods by himself. So very early the next morning, a whole bunch of volunteers went right back out into the woods to look for Rowan. There was this one particular group that wanted to look a little bit farther away than where everybody else was looking. They were going to be about 3+ miles away in this swamp. And so this group of searchers, they start walking into this swamp and they can tell right away that it's a very wet and deep swamp. They would take a step onto something that looked solid and they would sink 2-3 feet into the water. They all had waders on so they wouldn't get wet. But they were basically sludging through the swamp and it was very thick. And at some point they make their way through a clearing and they see on the log what looks like a pair of children's shoes, or shoes for sure. They look small enough to be kids. And so they wade their way over and they climb up onto this dry section of land and they walk over and sure enough, they're kids' shoes. And so they yell out for him a couple times and they stop to listen. And after a minute, they hear him call back. He's yelling, here! And they walk their way past this huge bush and they look through and they can't believe it. They see Rowan right in the middle of this bog of water. There is a tree that is right in the middle of this. And he's clutched onto the tree. He looks dry, he looks okay, and he's just standing on this island holding this tree. And so immediately the searchers jump right in the water and they start wading their way out to this island where Rowan is. And the whole time they're going out there, the water's up to their chest, and they're looking around, and it's at least that deep all the way around this thing. And they're looking up at the kid, and he's bone dry, and he's 2 years old. They don't know if he knows how to swim or not. And so they're thinking to themselves, how did he get out here? But either way, they're like, let's just get the kid and bring him back to his parents. And so they finally hop up onto this island, and they kind of look over Rowan. He seems okay. They pick him up, and they keep him out of the water, and they bring him back to land and back to his parents. Initially, Rowan's parents and the police and the searchers, everybody is just so happy that Rowan is alive that no one is asking any questions about, what happened and, what's the deal with you being found on that island? How'd you get out there? People are just leaving it alone. They're just happy he's here. But after the dust had settled, so to speak, Rowan's parents would ask him some questions. They would say, what happened? How'd you get lost? And how'd you get on that island? And at first, Rowan was just not saying anything, but eventually he would say that there were cows out there. And he said that he was scared of the cows, and that's why he went to the island, because he wanted to get away from the cows. Now, there were no cows in that swamp or anywhere near where he was that night. So either he didn't see anything and he was hallucinating seeing animals at all, or he was mislabeling something else that he was seeing. But whatever he was seeing or believed he was seeing, it scared the heck out of him, and he would get really frightened when he would talk about these cows. But regardless of what he saw or didn't see, the $1 million question is, how did he get out to that island? because in order to get out to that island, for him, being a 2-year-old, being the size he was, he would have had to swim. The water was too deep all the way around the island. He didn't know how to swim. But even if he had found a way to magically swim out to this island, why wasn't he wet? It's also worth noting this all took place just a few miles away from the infamous Bennington Triangle, which is this area in southern Vermont where there's been a whole string of people going missing under very mysterious circumstances. In 1953, 11-year-old Jerry Monkman was considered a very frail child. He was skinnier than his peers, he was shorter than his peers, and he had a really bad case of asthma, which was a breathing condition that made doing anything physical really difficult. But despite his perceived fragility, he loved going outside, he loved hiking, and he was a proud member of the Boy Scouts. And so on April 25th of that year, Jerry was really excited when he found out his Boy Scout troop was offering a trip to the Rocky Mountain foothills to go camping and hiking for a weekend, and he jumped at the opportunity. So Jerry, his troop, and his troop leaders, they all pile in a van and they make their way up to the Rocky Mountains. And as soon as they get there, they go on this wickedly rugged hike up in the Teton Canyon, and about an hour into their trip, one of the troop leaders turns around and Jerry's gone. The troop leaders did not know how long he had been gone for, so they only searched for a couple of minutes before one of them ran down the mountain to try to get help. Soon the sheriff's department arrived, and 1,600 volunteers from the town that had heard about this, they all poured out onto the mountain, and they are combing across this mountain to find Jerry as quickly as possible. But after several hours, they didn't find him, and people started to think the worst. And then just then, the bloodhound they had brought out to try to track his scent picked up Jerry's scent, and it starts taking off up the trail. And the handler of the dog tells everyone, hey, he's picked him up, we're gonna find him, we're gonna find him. And he thinks the dog's gonna lead him to him, within a mile or so of where they are. But the dog just stays on a complete beeline for 6 hours. It just tracks straight north for 6 hours until it comes to this big swamp where it stops. Like, I found it, this is where it ends. This swamp was 12 miles away from where Jerry had gone missing. So the handler and the people that had followed this dog, they searched the swamp because even though they thought it was totally improbable that Jerry, this frail 11-year-old with asthma, would have maneuvered 12 miles uphill through rugged terrain to the swamp, they still felt like they needed to search it. So they searched the swamp, there wasn't anything there. So the dog handler's thinking, okay, my dog must have made a mistake. And so he gives the scent again to the dog, thinking the dog would return and start heading back towards where Jerry had been missing. But instead, his dog basically just reconfirms that, nope, this is where the scent brought me, I'm still right. And so the dog handler and everybody else that had made this long, treacherous 12-mile journey up to the swamp, they just decided that the dog must have made a mistake and the kid could never have been there. The next morning at 8 a.m., an 8-year-old boy named David was riding his horse about 30 miles away from where Jerry had gone missing. And he happened to be looking over at the tree line, and a boy stumbles out of the tree line and waves to him. And so David goes over, and it turns out it's Jerry Monkman. Jerry would just tell David that he needs to get back to his group. And David would say, what are you doing out here? And Jerry just said, I don't really know. I need to get back to my group. I was with a group yesterday, and I need to get back to them. And apparently David asked him, well, how did you get here if you were with them yesterday? And all Jerry could say was, I fell asleep under a tree. I don't know. When word got back to the searchers that they had found Jerry, and they had found him 30 miles away, they couldn't believe it. The day before, it had been unbelievable that he could have traveled 12 miles to that swamp. Like, literally unbelievable. They didn't believe it. Nope, he couldn't have done it. And now, clearly, he's traveled at least 30 miles to have been found by David where he was found, and that's 30 miles as the crow flies, meaning overhead, air miles, 30 miles. The reality is, if you're walking in the wilderness, you don't walk in straight lines. You make turns and you go left, there's switchbacks, and the area he must have gone through over those 30 miles is all unmarked. It's this rugged, hilly, awful, unmarked terrain. So for sure, he probably covered 40 plus miles to get there. And so the police asked him, how did you do this? How did you cover the distance you covered in such a short amount of time? And Jerry would say he just remembers sleeping under a tree and then waking up, and he would see animals poking their heads around from behind different trees. And he didn't know what kind of animals they were, but they were watching him, and he was worried they were going to hurt him, but they didn't. And he said he was able to just keep walking, and he would keep sleeping under these trees, and he kept seeing these animals that were watching him, and he just kept saying, "They never hurt me, they never hurt me." And so obviously this did not answer any of the questions that the investigators were looking to answer, and they just felt like, okay, maybe he's in shock, and we can ask him at another time. But the theory became like, well, then he must have been abducted to have covered this distance. But that begs the question, who's capable of moving an 11-year-old that much distance in such a short amount of time? We're talking about a 30-hour window, moving potentially 50 plus miles, lugging an 11-year-old around. And then even if there was someone or something that was capable of lifting up an 11-year-old and maneuvering them that much distance in such a short amount of time, well, to what end? Why would they do that? Why was Jerry then maneuvered to the swamp and then maneuvered to where he was found? It doesn't make any sense. One of the most remote places in the world is Buldir Island in Alaska. It's 2/3 of the way to Russia along the Aleutian chain of islands. The nearest inhabited island is about 50 miles away. The weather on Buldir Island is pretty brutal, especially during the winter, and there's no electricity there. In 1944, the United States Army decided they wanted to send 5 of their soldiers to monitor the weather station on Buldir Island. That was like the one thing the island was used for. And so one of the people that was sent on this assignment was a guy by the name of Bud Houston. Bud was born in Wisconsin and worked in a shipyard before enlisting in the Army in 1942. He's a big hunter and outdoorsman, and so the prospect of living on this kind of desolate Alaskan island really appealed to him, and he was excited about the assignment. In October of that year, Bud was flown out to Buldir Island, and he met with the other 4 soldiers that were going to be living on the island with him. It was going to be those 5 on the island, no one else is there. And they quickly learned their job of monitoring the weather station was a very low-effort job. And so they could do all of their tasks over the course of the day pretty easily, and it freed up a lot of time for them to explore the island. And that would actually become their favorite pastime, because there really wasn't much else to do there except explore the island. And so very quickly they became very familiar with the whole island, because it wasn't that big. It was about maybe 2.5 miles wide by 4.5 miles long. On March 3rd, 1945, so 5 months after they've arrived in Buldir Island, so by now they know every square inch of the island, very comfortable here. They had to do a routine patrol around the weather station. This was something they did multiple times a week, so very routine. And all 5 of them are sitting in the weather station, and Bud says he'll do it. So Bud gets his rifle, and he heads outside to do this patrol. And the other 4 are just sitting in the weather station, and after about an hour, they realize Bud hasn't come back yet. And this patrol does not take more than 20 minutes. And so they step outside to see if he's out there, and the weather at the time was very mild. You know, there's no snow on the ground, it's not very cold, it's not very windy, and the visibility this night was pretty good. And so they're looking out over the island, and the island has no trees. At the very far end, at the opposite end of where the weather station is, there's one significant sized mountain, but short of that, it's not particularly mountainous. So from their perspective, they could look out over the island and basically see him. They don't see him anywhere. At first, they were not that worried about it, because they figure, you know what, he knows what he's doing, he's been here so long, he's probably just out exploring or something. But they decided they would go look for him. They go down to the water, he's not down there. They walk all around the far side of the island, they can't find him. And so by the time they get back to the weather station, they're like, we have to tell the command that we've lost him. So they radio back to higher command and they say, we don't know where he went, he's not on patrol, and we didn't hear anything, and now he's gone. And so a whole bunch of reinforcements came out to the island to look on foot with the other 4 soldiers, as well as planes and helicopters, and for 2 days, they looked all over that island for Bud, and they couldn't find him. And you got to remember that there's very few places you could possibly even go on the island that they wouldn't be able to look and see you. And so everyone started to think he must have jumped into the water or fallen into the water, because there's nowhere for him to hide on the island. And so after a couple of days, they were so sure that it was just not possible for him to be on the island that they called the search off. And they said, and he must have fallen into the water. Fast forward 40 years to 1988, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was studying birds on Bull Deer Island, and they made this amazing discovery. This crew had set up their camp at 1,600 feet of elevation on the one large mountain on the far side of the island, basically on the opposite end of the island from the weather station. And one of the crew members happened to just walk around one of the boulders, and they looked down, and there was this little tiny crevice between the boulder and the ground, and he thought he saw something inside of it. He got down and he looked, and he realized there was a skeleton that had been kind of crammed into this tiny little tight space. And the skeleton had a military uniform on. It had been kind of balled up, but there was a uniform on what was left of the skeleton, and there was also a rifle that had been jammed down in there as well. And it would turn out to be Bud Houston. So why did Bud say he was going to go outside and do that patrol, which really just meant walking around the immediate vicinity of the weather station? You're certainly not traveling very far. Why did he say he was going to do that and then walk 4.5 miles to the other end of the island and then climb up 1,500 feet to the top of this mountain? But even if he had a reason to be over there, why would he then force himself into this little tiny crevice? If he was looking for shelter, well, the weather was incredibly mild. It would not have been life-threatening to be out in the elements, at least not that first night or even that second night. And he knows the island like the back of his hand. He probably had a little bit more time. He probably could have found a better place for shelter than this awful little crevice. But if he was at a place where he was seeking shelter under these boulders instead of just walking back to the weather station and getting real shelter, then he had to have been in an emergency situation. That's the only way that makes sense. But if he was in an emergency situation, he would know that his responsibility is not just to survive, it's also to be found again and to make sure you're not obscured underneath a boulder so no one can find you. This island, it was like the easiest place to be found. There's no trees, there was helicopters overhead and planes, and there's all these people. It's a small space. All he had to do was not be under the boulder 24/7. Maybe during the day when the weather let up, roll out from under the boulder, let yourself be found. But that's not what happened. What probably happened is Bud somehow got crammed into that little tiny crevice almost immediately after he left the weather station to do that patrol. But logically speaking, he would not do that to himself, so someone else had to do it. But all the other people on the island were in the weather station at the time this would have been happening. So it really makes you wonder, what happened when he walked outside of that weather station? Who or what did he see, and what did they do to him? Unfortunately, we'll probably never know. So that's going to do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. Let me know in the comments if you found the secret. Tell us what it is, where you found it. Give us the timestamp. And if you're the first to do that, we'll pin you at the top of the comments. If you enjoyed today's video and you haven't done this already, please sneak up behind the like button and viciously your naked choke them. Also, please subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly 3, 4, even 5 video uploads. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter. My username for both platforms is the same. It's JohnBallen416. I also have a ton of content over on TikTok, where my username is MrBallen. If you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit just called MrBallen. It's linked in the description below. So whether I see you on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, or some combination, just know that I really appreciate your support, and until next time, that's going to do it. See you. If you weren't already afraid of the woods, you will be by the end of this video. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel, because that's all we do, and we upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please release a massive saltwater crocodile. So if that's of interest to you, please release a massive saltwater crocodile inside of the like button's house. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. August 2nd, 1963, 4-year-old Bobby Pankman, along with his 2 older brothers and his 2 parents, headed off to a camping resort on Deep Lake in Washington State. The following day, Mrs. Pankman, whose name was Edna, decides she wants to take her 3 sons down a logging road that was right behind their campsite that she had heard fed out to this beautiful little waterfall that she thought her sons would like to see. Edna gets the boys ready, she says bye to Mr. Pankman, and then she and her sons take off down this logging road. And as soon as she's on the road, it occurs to her that it's totally overgrown. The grass is really high, it's rocky and bumpy, and she's thinking to herself, there's no way any vehicle is getting down this road, and probably there's been no vehicles on this road for a very long time. This is a very isolated place on this campsite. So they walk for a little ways on this overgrown logging road until they see there's a turnoff that leads down to the water and this little waterfall. And so right away she saw there was all this brush they were going to need to walk through, and the ground looked pretty rough. And Bobby, her youngest, the 4-year-old, he didn't have shoes on. He was going through a phase where he refused to wear shoes. And so it hadn't really mattered the entire duration of walking up the road, but it seemed like this might be too much for him to walk on. And so she told Bobby to wait on the road, and she told her other son, Jimmy, the 6-year-old, to wait next to him. Those two would stay on the road together while she and Bill, the 10-year-old, would go past the brush, go down to the water, check it out for a couple of minutes, and then she would come back, she would pick up Bobby, and Jimmy would come along, and then they would go down and look at the water, and then they would leave. Bobby didn't seem to mind, so he just sat on the road, and Jimmy was a little bit frustrated that he couldn't go with the first group, but he sat down too, and Bill and Edna took off past this brush down to the water. Now the distance between where Bill and Edna and where Bobby and Jimmy were was only about 10 feet. There was just this brush right in the middle of them that did obscure their view. They could not see each other, but they are very close to each other. And so Jimmy is sitting next to Bobby, and he's getting increasingly more and more restless. He wants to go down and look at the waterfall. He wants to be down there with his older brother and his mom. And so at some point, he just can't take it anymore. And Jimmy does something that to this day, he regrets every single day. And that is, he got up and left his brother. He went through the brush down to where Bill and Edna were. And as soon as Edna saw him, she was mad at him, and she goes, "What, you left Bobby up there? Come on." And so they turned around after about 60 seconds and went right back up. And when they got back, Bobby was gone. And at first, they're not like, oh my goodness, someone's abducted Bobby, because there's no one on this road. They come up here and recognize that it's very remote, it's isolated, there's no cars that come through here, they hadn't heard anything. And so their first instinct was, okay, he probably got up, and is behind a tree, or he walked down the hill over here, or he's nearby. And so they're yelling for him, they're walking around, and no one's panicking yet. In fact, really, Edna was just annoyed with Jimmy that he had left, Bobby, and that he's to blame right now, but it's just an inconvenience at this point. But after a couple of minutes, when they can't get Bobby to yell back where he is, they start to realize they might have a problem here. And so Edna becomes more panicked, and she's yelling at the top of her lungs for her son. She's having her other two sons go look down by the water, go look over there, but there's no trace of him. And they can't believe it. It didn't make any sense, because, he's 4, he's got no shoes on, they didn't hear anything. How could he be gone? But he was gone. And so finally, after a couple of minutes, Edna rounded up her other two boys, and they ran all the way back to the campsite, where they got Mr. Pankman, and they hailed the police, and very quickly, a big search was launched up on that logging road. As soon as the police arrived, the first thing they did is they pressed Edna and the other two boys about, what did you hear? You had to have heard something. He was only 10 feet away from you, and he was within earshot of you, certainly. What did you hear? Did a vehicle come through? Did you hear an animal? Anybody talking? And Edna and the other two boys, they swore that they heard nothing, that they're just as baffled by it as anybody else. And so the police really didn't have a good starting point of where Bobby could have gone. And in that area, there wasn't any, steep drop-offs or obvious places that Bobby could have fallen into or gotten trapped. The water for the waterfall, it's not deep, it's this little tiny brook, it can be difficult to drown in that little brook. So they just basically started fanning out in all directions, hoping they would, find a piece of clothing or some other clue that would indicate where he went. After 3 days of searching that yielded nothing, they finally brought in a bloodhound to try to find him based on scent. And so they had the dog smell one of Bobby's shoes, and the dog immediately seemed to key in on the scent in the area where Bobby had gone missing. And the dog turns and starts running up the logging road away from the campsite, so farther into the forest. And it runs for almost 2 miles, and it never seems to waver. It's clearly picked up Bobby's scent. And it stops at this fork in the road about 2 miles away from where Bobby had gone missing, and it keys in on this one area right at the fork where there wasn't anything significant, just bare patch of dirt. And so the police, they uncover the dirt a little bit, they're down there, they're looking around the area, that there's no indication that Bobby was ever here. So they give the scent back to the dog, and again, the dog just keeps tracking to this one section in this fork in the road. but they didn't know what to do with that information because there was nothing there. The search for Bobby was called off after 7 days because they could not find anything. And so the lead investigator came out and did this press release where he basically said, "We have no idea what happened to Bobby. However, we do think he was abducted." And his reasoning for this was pretty straightforward. Bobby was a young kid that had no shoes on in an unfamiliar forest, and he was only out of eyesight for 2 minutes. So how far could he really have gotten? Certainly not far enough that his family wouldn't have found him after those 2 minutes were up and they began looking for him. And so if you go down the abduction rabbit hole, you start with, okay, a person must have taken him. But for a person to take Bobby, that means a person had to be in this area that was super isolated and remote, and they hadn't seen anybody in the area, and there were very few campers at the campsite. So realistically, if a person was going to abduct Bobby, they had to have been planning it and had to have been hiding in the trees and was stalking this family until they got to that spot where Jimmy left Bobby, and then this person, runs out of the tree line, runs over to Bobby, picks him up without Bobby making a sound, he muffles him, and he runs away into the woods carrying this child, all in a 2-minute window, which was a totally abrupt window. It wasn't like this obvious thing that Bobby was going to be left alone. It looked like Jimmy was going to be sitting there with him, which would have been a deterrent, you would think, if someone was trying to abduct Bobby. But nonetheless, this window presents itself and this person runs down and takes Bobby. It just seems like that person would need to be really fixated on Bobby. One, there wasn't a clear reason for why anyone would be very fixated on Bobby or this family. And two, they would need to be very strong and quick and agile, more than the average person. So we're talking like a professional athlete level of agility and physical fitness. And so while it's certainly possible that a professional athlete had been stalking this family and then ran down in this tiny little window of time and stole Bobby away without getting detected and then evaded the law for 7 days in the middle of the woods, while that's possible, it's pretty unlikely. And investigators reached this conclusion. No, it does seem pretty unlikely that a person did this. So they moved on to animals, and they said, okay, maybe a bear took Bobby. And so they brought out bear-sniffing dogs and searched the area for signs that a bear had been there, and there hadn't been. And so they said, okay, maybe a cougar had been there. And so they brought out a cougar expert who looked around the area, and there's no signs of a cougar in the area. Plus, there was no blood anywhere around the area where Bobby had been taken. There was no drag marks where if a predator were to grab you, they would need to drag you away. There was no drag marks. So it seemed like, okay, the large predator theory also has problems with it. And so the next theory offered up was, well, maybe a giant eagle swooped down and picked Bobby up and flew him away, which would account for why maybe it was quiet and there was no drag marks, there was no blood, and why he's just gone. But that was when authorities said, okay, we clearly have no clue. And so that's why they gave the press release and basically said, we just don't know. And so while we probably will never know what happened to Bobby, it does seem likely that something took him. And whatever that something was, it was intelligent, it was fast, it was strong, it was agile, and it had been watching that family. Because as soon as that 2-minute window presented itself, where Jimmy was gone and Bobby was vulnerable, it swept in so fast that they heard it, and saw it, and it took Bobby somewhere and did something to him. And whatever it did, it probably wasn't good. In December of 1961, James McCormick Sr. was on vacation from his job as a fire inspector for the city of Portland, Oregon. And he was feeling bored, he was feeling kind of restless, and he decided he wanted to go do something fun with his 16-year-old son named James McCormick Jr. They settled on going hunting together as they were both avid outdoorsmen, and so they, along with their hunting dog, headed out to Larch Mountain on December 4th. Even though Larch Mountain was only 30 miles from the city, it was known as one of the most rugged and wild areas in the northwestern United States. And so the men arrive at Larch Mountain, they're excited, they hop out of the car, they put their gear on, and they begin hiking into the wilderness. Now, the weather forecasters had said it was probably going to be pretty cold. There might be some light snow in the area, but the weather should hold for their day trip out into the woods. And so they hadn't brought any equipment to stay out for multiple days. This was just going to be a full-day event, but back at night. But after walking for several hours into the mountains, they started to notice the temperature was dropping rapidly. And then it started to rain, and then it started to snow, all in a very short period of time. And initially they decided they were going to gut it out and keep walking a little ways, but they decided, you know what, this is awful and our stuff's getting wet and it's going to get dark soon, so let's just turn around and go back. We can go hunting another day. But it had started snowing so quickly that when they turned around to start making their way back to their vehicle, the snow had covered over everything enough that it looked a little bit different. And they didn't have a GPS, they were using a map and compass, and they were not on a marked trail. They were just kind of walking around the mountains looking for a place to set up. And so they're walking back and they're making turns and they're starting to question where they are. And when they had walked for several hours in the direction they believed was back to the truck, well, they weren't anywhere near a road and they felt like they were in an area they didn't recognize, and they realized they were lost. At this point, it was snowing really hard and it was starting to get dark outside, and so the pair decided, you know what, we got to stay out for the night. We're not going to find our vehicle tonight. It's too dark and we don't know where we are. So let's camp out for the night, and tomorrow we will find our vehicle. But remember, they didn't have any equipment to stay out for the night. All they had was their warm clothes, but they didn't have a structure to protect them from the elements. And so they decided their best bet was to climb up into a tree, because at least that way they're off the ground, they protect themselves from predators potentially, and the branches of the tree would kind of protect them a little bit from the snow and from the freezing rain. So that night, James Sr., James Jr., and their dog, they huddle in this tree. It's a totally sleepless, miserable night as they are just destroyed by snow and freezing rain and wind. And then finally the sun comes up the next morning and there's a glimmer of hope, although it's still absolutely dumping snow on them. But they're thinking to themselves, this is going to make a heck of a story when we get back. And so they climb out of the tree, they stretch, they kind of, readjust themselves, and then they begin walking in a direction that they think is the direction towards their vehicle. And for several hours, they're just kind of walking, hoping they're going to run into this road, and they don't. And at some point, they realize once again that they are in the same position they were in the day before. They don't know where they are. And now they've walked even farther, potentially in the wrong direction. And so they stop for a second, and James Sr. pulls out his map, and he's trying to make sense of where they might be. He's looking around. He's trying to terrain associate to see if he can figure out if there's a specific way he should be going, when his son, who was a really tough kid, didn't complain about anything. He said to his dad, I'm feeling delirious. I feel like I can't think straight. And it's hard for me to stand. I'm going to sit down. And his dad's looking at him, not concerned about this, because it was a pretty miserable night the night before, and so it makes sense he might be tired. But, they had slept a full night's sleep the days leading up to this trip. They've only been out in the elements for one day. They do have warm clothes on. They do have food. They do have water. And so he figures his son will just sit down for a minute, and then he'll get back up and be rejuvenated, and they'll keep moving out. So James Sr. continues looking at his map. He's looking around, kind of waiting for his son to say, okay, I'm ready to start moving again. But his son just continues to deteriorate. He's speaking in nonsense, and he can't stand up. And this was the first time that James Sr. really started to feel concerned for their actual safety. Because even the night before, when they were up in the tree, even then, it just felt like it was this crazy thing that was happening to them and that everything would be fine. And even that morning when they got up, it was still snowing and they're still lost. He had that optimism, and so did his son. But now, thinking, okay, we are potentially staring down another night out here, and we're going to eventually run out of food and water. Our clothes are starting to get wet. The temperatures are dropping below freezing. We don't have a tent. We don't have a shelter. And now something's wrong with my son, which is concerning in and of itself. But if he can't move, then we can't make progress towards getting out of this situation. And so James Sr., who was this really fit fireman, he said, okay, I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to carry you. And he picked his son up, fireman's carry, put him over his shoulders, and for 3 hours, James Sr. just continued to march around looking for the way out. And after 3 hours, when they had not gotten anywhere closer to a road or any civilization, and now it was dark out again, he collapses with his son, and he puts his son down by a tree. He sits down next to him, and he's totally defeated. And he's like, we got to get ready for another night. We got to get back up in the tree. We got to do this again. And so as they're sitting there kind of talking about how they're going to get James Jr. up into a tree for the night, because he's too weak to climb up himself, they both notice these very bright lights about 100 feet in front of them that look like headlights. And James Sr. is like, oh my goodness, what luck. There is a road that we just didn't see, and there's a car that's parked right there. I'm going to go up and communicate with them and tell them that they're stuck out here and see if they can just ride. Stay right here, I'll be right back. And so James Sr. gets up and starts running towards these lights, because these lights are their lifeline, and he wants to get to them before they potentially pull away without realizing, there's some people that really could use some help here. And And so as he's moving, 50, 60, 70 feet away from where his son and his hunting dog were, the lights just continue to go farther and farther away from him to the point where James Sr. stops. He's looking at these lights thinking, are those headlights? Like, what are those lights? And at some point, the lights just kind of disappear into the forest, and then they're gone. James Sr. looks around and he realizes, there's no road over here. I'm in the middle of the woods. Like, what were those lights? And so he stands there for a minute thinking to himself, am I losing my grip on reality? Like, what's going on here? And he turns around and he starts running back to where his son and his dog were. And when he gets there, only his dog is there. His son is gone. And what's going through James Sr.'s mind is, how? Because he couldn't walk until now, and my son certainly wouldn't have lied to me and made me carry him all the way here. And there's enough light out that he could actually still see the footprints on the ground, and so he grabs his son's backpack that was left by the tree, he picks it up, he grabs his dog, and he starts yelling for his son and starts walking along the footprints that were left by, presumably, his son. And so he's walking along these footprints, he's yelling out for his son, he's not hearing anything, and this whole time he's thinking to himself, like, why would he even leave? Even if he could move, why would he leave? We're obviously in this together. Like, what's going on with my son? And so he's walking, and after about 30 minutes of walking along these footprints, because the snow was coming down so heavy, the prints were getting harder and harder and harder to track because they were filling in the snow. And finally, it got dark out, and then he really couldn't see the prints anymore. And now James Sr. is absolutely panicked. This is a nightmare. Where's my son? What were those lights? Oh my gosh, it's going to be another night out here. And he just picks a random direction, and holding onto his son's stuff with his dog, he just starts running. The next day, James Sr. and his dog would stumble into this lodge that was about 6 miles away from where they'd parked their car over at Large Mountain. Now, that doesn't mean they moved 6 miles to get there. They probably zigged and zagged all over the mountain and covered much more than 6 miles, but it was a 6-mile shot to this lodge. They stumble inside, and it was just a miracle that he had found it. He basically had ran all night until he found a road, and he traced it up to this lodge, and he told the staff inside, my son is missing. He's been gone for 2 days now. He's out in the middle of the woods. He's hurt. Someone needs to go out there. And so very quickly, the police were called, and word spread to the firefighters in Portland, Oregon, that the fire inspector's son is missing. And so 200 off-duty firefighters made their way up to the mountain as well to assist in this search. The paramedics wanted James Sr. to just go to the hospital and let the searchers do their job. But James Sr. was not about to lose his son, and he refused medical attention, and he went out with the first group of searchers. And somehow he was able to get them to the rough area that he was able to recognize as, roughly where his son had been sitting when he went missing. They searched that area and very quickly found James Jr.'s glasses case, as well as his boots and his socks, but no James Jr. Later in the day, though, they would find James Jr. He was about 1,000 feet away from where his boots and his glasses case were found at the bottom of this cliff, and he was deceased. Now, initially, the thought was, well, he must have gotten confused and walked away from where he had been told to sit and fell off this cliff. But they determined he did not die from the fall off this cliff. He had made his way down to that cliff and then died of exposure. So how was James Jr. able to suddenly be able to walk again? And once he had that skill back, why didn't he go to his dad? Why did he walk away from him? And why did he take his shoes and socks off to do that as well? And what were those lights that James Sr. saw in the middle of the woods? Because they weren't headlights. And it was only when he went to investigate them that suddenly James Jr. up and walks away. In early July of 1953, Mr. and Mrs. Huggin, along with their 3 young daughters, left their home in Winnipeg, Canada for a 6-week summer vacation. They were headed to the girls' grandparents' summer cabin in Wade, Ontario, which is one of the more remote and wild sections of Ontario. Their cabin was right in the middle of this huge swampy forest, and they were not too far from one of the biggest lakes in Ontario called Fox Lake. The family arrived late on July 4th, so they didn't do anything when they arrived. They just hung out at the cabin. And then early the next day, all the adults decided they wanted to take the girls to Fox Lake for the day. So they began gathering all the supplies they would need, while the 3 girls played outside the cabin. Now, there's no neighbors or anybody else anywhere near this cabin. And so it was totally normal to have the girls just play outside. They were not concerned about, them getting taken or something. And so the 2 older girls played in the front yard of the cabin, and Geraldine, the 5-year-old, was playing on the side of the cabin. So the 2 girls in front couldn't see Geraldine, and the adults, they were keeping their eye on all three girls, but they were mostly just kind of going in and out of the cabin, getting their stuff together, periodically poking their head out, but the girls were fine. At 10 a.m. that morning, the parents had finally packed up the car and were ready to collect the girls and head over to the lake. And so they went outside, they got the two girls that were out front, and they went outside of the house, and they couldn't find Geraldine. Now, they weren't worried because where could she have gone? And so they walked around the house, they're yelling for Geraldine, and they asked the two girls, have you seen Geraldine? Where'd she go? And they're like, oh, we don't know. She was just over on the side of the house a minute ago. And so they can't find her outside, and so they go in the cabin thinking she must have gone in there because that's the only place she could be. But after thoroughly looking through the cabin and not finding her, they started to get a little bit more worried. At this point, the adults start talking to each other and they're saying, did anybody see Geraldine in the past couple of minutes? Has anybody seen her? And they all said, yeah, I poked my head out the window and I saw her within the past 10 minutes right on the side of the cabin. And so they all agreed within the past 10 minutes they had seen her right outside the cabin. So they're alarmed they can't find her, but they're thinking we're gonna find her. So they go back outside and they're looking around and they're yelling for her. Now this is such a remote section of Ontario that there's really no noise pollution and sound travels really, really well. And so when they were yelling her name, it was booming through the woods. And even if Geraldine had, sprinted for 10 minutes away from the cabin, she still easily would have been within earshot. And all she had to do was just, yell back and they would see her. But she didn't yell back, and there was no sign of her anywhere. And so at this point, the family is panicking, and so they call the police. The police show up, and they're looking around thinking, we're not going to be able to search this very effectively on our own. This is a huge, wild, remote section of Canada. And so they called in some professional trackers that were familiar with this area to come in and help them with their search. They also called the Army in Winnipeg to send over some people to assist as well. But as soon as the search started, the skies opened up and dumped rain all over the entire area, basically washing away any footprints that they could have used to potentially find her. As the day wore on and the sun was starting to set and there was still no sign of Geraldine, her father said something to the searchers that was intended to help them find his daughter, but it was just this incredibly heartbreaking comment. And what he told them was his daughter was afraid of the dark, and that once it got dark out in the woods here, she was just going to sit there and cry. And so that will stop her from moving farther away from us, hopefully, and we should be able to find her. But they didn't. And for 3 days, they looked everywhere for her, and there was no trace of her. And to make matters even worse is the weather had been really rainy and cold, not below freezing temperatures, but close, like in the 40-degree Fahrenheit range. And she just had a light shirt and a short set. She's not prepared for the weather. On the evening of the third day, they found footprints that they believed to be Geraldine's high up on this ledge in some moss over the lake. And the footprints indicated that this child, which was probably Geraldine, was looking out over the lake and then turned around and walked away from the ledge down into the swamp where her footprints disappeared. And so the search effort was pushed to this swamp, and they had thousands of people that are combing through this mosquito-infested bush to look for this girl, and once again, there's nothing. Then, on the 7th day of the search, they find another set of footprints in the swamp around the area where they were looking for Geraldine. But it wasn't Geraldine's footprints because they were these huge prints. That if it was a human print, they would need to be an enormous human being. Or these prints belonged to some enormous animal, but they were unable to determine what animal it was. At this point, although there's not really any real evidence connecting that print to Geraldine, people are starting to suspect that whoever left this print or whatever left this print has something to do with whatever happened to Geraldine. 2 days later, so 9 days after Geraldine has gone missing, some of the professional trackers were 2.5 miles away from where that large print was found in that swamp and where Geraldine's footprints were found up on that ledge. They found a piece of her plaid shirt 2.5 miles away on the eastern shore of another lake called Long Lake. And so they pushed the search effort over to that section of Long Lake, and within 24 hours they would find Geraldine's remains. The scene where Geraldine was found was bizarre. There was very little left of Geraldine, and from what was left, it was clear there had been significant animal predation. And so initial thoughts were, she must have been attacked by wolves, and that's what killed her. But upon closer inspection, they saw that her clothing had not been torn and there was no blood on her clothes. So the animal predation had most likely occurred after she was deceased because they would have been able to pick around the clothing. Whereas if it had been a wolf attack, they would have cut right through the clothes and there would be marks that obviously, she was attacked by animals. But Geraldine's remains appeared to have been dragged out of a nearby meadow to where she was ultimately located. And so they followed the drag line into this meadow, and it led them to this opening where all the grass had been matted down. And investigators said it looked like something big had been laying there. And they speculated that that might have been the area where Geraldine had been killed, and then afterwards animals had dragged her over to where she was found. And so investigators are like, well, we found that large footprint in the swamp on the 7th day in the same area where we had found Geraldine's footprints, and we thought they might be connected. And now we're finding a large, what appears to be body print in this meadow that's right near where Geraldine's remains have been found. And so probably whoever or whatever left that print in the swamp is the same one that left this print here in the meadow, and therefore is probably Geraldine's killer. But this left investigators with two theories that didn't really make any sense. The first one was, okay, these prints, the swamp print and this body print, belong to an enormous person, like a giant, who ran up to the cabin and abducted Geraldine and ran off, and no one saw them or heard them. And for weeks, they've managed to totally evade capture, despite being, again, an enormous person lumbering through the forest. So that seemed really unlikely. One, that this giant person even existed, and two, that if this giant person existed, how could they not get caught? They're so big, running through the forest, they would be easy to spot. But if you rule out the enormous person theory, you're left with the enormous predator theory, which does make more sense on the surface because there are enormous predators that have attacked humans, so that does happen. But when they looked at her remains, they ruled out a wolf attack, and really, they ruled out animal attacks. But if this is an enormous predator, how did it kill Geraldine? The family was told that unfortunately, because there wasn't enough left of her, they weren't able to determine a cause of death. And so their best guess is she was probably mauled by wild animals, but they would even have to look at the family and say, honestly, we don't know what did this. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's video, let us know in the comments what it is and where you found it, so give us a timestamp. And if you're the first to do that, we will pin you at the top of the comments section. If you enjoyed today's video and you haven't done this already, please release a massive saltwater crocodile inside the like button's house. Also, please subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our 3, 4, even 5 weekly uploads. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter. My username for both platforms is the same. It's JohnBallen416. I also have a ton of content over on TikTok where my username is MrBallen. If you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit, just called MrBallen. It's linked in the description below. So whether I see you on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, or some combination, just know that I really appreciate your support. And until next time, that's going to do it. See you. Hundreds of people go missing under baffling conditions in the woods of North America every year. One former police detective named David Politis has begun investigating these strange disappearances in his incredible book series called Missing 411. You can find links to that in the description below. Today we're going to be looking at 3 of his cases that even among thousands of strange disappearances, these rank as some of the most bizarre. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel because that's all we do, and we upload 3, 4, even 5 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please do a trust fall with the like button, but when they start to fall, just walk away. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. On May 14th, 1950, 2-year-old Jackie Copeland was playing with his 3 older sisters at a picnic in Pleasantville, Pennsylvania. This picnic was for Jackie's father's company, so there was lots of parents and lots of other kids there, and it was located on this hillside that was right up against a very swampy forest. Jackie's parents had been keeping an eye on Jackie and his 2 sisters while simultaneously trying to have conversations with some of the adults. And at one point, they got so sucked into a particular conversation that for a little while they were not looking at their kids. And when they finally stopped talking to this person and turned to look, Jackie was gone. In a panic, The parents rush over to the daughters and they ask them, you know, where's your brother? Where's Jackie? And they say, oh, we don't know. And the parents turn around and it's just a sea of people and other kids and it's just chaos. And so Jackie's father just yells to the group, I can't find my son, help me find my son. And so very quickly, the whole picnic starts looking for Jackie Copeland. After about 15 minutes, when over 100 people looking could not find any trace of Jackie, his parents called the state police. The police showed up in force with bloodhounds and they began looking all around the area, but the dogs couldn't pick up a scent, and they, like the rest of the hundreds of volunteers, could not find any indication of where Jackie might have gone. The assumption was he must have wandered off into the forest, but after being in the forest and looking around and seeing how difficult it was to navigate, because it was basically just this big swamp, they figured we're bound to run into him here, because he just can't have gotten very far. But that night when the sun went down, they still hadn't found Jackie, and they still had no leads. And so the police and most of the volunteers had to suspend the search until the next day when there was daylight. And so Jackie's parents and some really hardcore supporters, they stayed out all night just yelling for Jackie and continuing to look, even though it was nearly impossible with no light. The following morning, when the search was picked up again, there was a crew of people that were way outside the boundaries of what was considered the main search area. They were 2 miles into the swampy forest at this oil repressuring plant. The plant itself was situated on this one stretch of dry land in the middle of this forest, where basically all around it was this impassable, almost moat-like swamp where the water was particularly deep right around the edges. The searchers were not on plant property, they were on the other side of that deep swamp water, just looking at the plant. And one of the searchers happened to notice a child was poking their head around the back of a tree that was right next to the plant. It was like the child was peering at the searchers before tucking itself back behind the tree. The searchers couldn't believe it and they rushed over to the plant, and sure enough, it was Jackie Copeland. Jackie was sent to a hospital and a doctor examined him and said he just had a couple of scratches on him, but other than that, he was in great health. A local newspaper called the Logansport Press followed up with the Copeland family after they were reunited with their son, and they wanted to know what everybody else wanted to know. How did your son get through 2 miles of impassable swampland onto this plant that even adults have difficulty getting to? In the article, the parents said after they got their son back from the hospital and they got him home and, you know, fed and cleaned up, they asked him, you know, what happened? How did you get where you got? And they would say, although he's 2 years old and he spoke in, you know, child speak, kind of like child gibberish, his story was very consistent every time they asked him, and they asked him repeatedly. And so his story was, they were at the picnic and he was looking into the forest and he saw someone peering from behind a tree at him. And Jackie felt like this person or this creature wanted him to come into the forest. And so he got up and he walked to the forest. And as he got closer to this creature or person behind the tree, they scampered farther into the forest. And so Jackie pursued them. And so as Jackie continued to walk towards this person or creature who kept vanishing farther and farther into the woods, he said he reached an area that he called the Awful Dark. And when he was in the Awful Dark, he said there were all these wild animals around him that he couldn't see, that were howling and barking at him, but they wouldn't get closer to him because he was with a giant. And this giant led him through the forest and led him to this plant. While it's easy to discount this story because it's being told by a 2-year-old who does not understand everything that he's went through, what's not easy to discount is how Jackie wound up 2 miles away on this plant, which meant he would have crossed a 2-mile stretch of impassable swamp. That's what the police were saying. That's what the searchers were saying. It's not possible to cover this distance. So the only rational explanation is Jackie had help getting to this plant. And it's also interesting to consider the fact that when Jackie was found by the searcher at the plant, he described Jackie as peering from behind a tree, like he was kind of hiding from the searcher. It's the same behavior that Jackie described this person or creature doing to him when he was at the picnic. And so between Jackie's stories being fairly consistent for a 2-year-old and him mimicking the behavior of that person or creature he saw on the tree line, it's led people to speculate that while Jackie certainly may not
won't matter in this.
Or what was calling him into the woods.
Yeah, you might as well just...
you can get a little creep, but it's not even...
That was watching Jackie on the tree line and got
pretty much not existent for this.
I got you.
On February 7th,
Oh, we're playing the Battle Royale shit?
hike was hiking along the Appalachian Trail.
I didn't want the real game. I just too cheap.
Jeff had been
Buy
a
the
wasteland
ones.
for years, and he had been on similar hikes.
So honestly, I probably won't play enough the real
Hiking,
Battlefields.
camping, and being outdoors. The hike they had planned was only about 2 miles long, and it was a beginner trail that was very well marked, and it was broad daylight, so it was a very easy hike to make. About 3/4 of the way through their hike, the Scoutmaster had the group stop.
Yeah, after playing the beta or whatever, I was like, I wasn't
Jeff wound up
thrilled
being the
with it.
last one to
Like,
kind
it's
of make
cool,
it into
but
this
I didn't see
rest
myself
stop. He
putting a ton of time
fallen
into it.
behind the group. He looked
Such a
tired
different
and
game
ragged,
style.
And the Scoutmaster asked him, are you okay? Do you need food? Do you need
Especially when
water?
you have like
He
medics
told
running
him
by
he
and they
was
don't
fine,
heal
he was
you.
a little bit tired. And so after a few
Yeah.
minutes,
Oh, yeah.
I'm like that's the dumbest thing in your place.
One of the
Thing.
senior
They not
scouts
utilize
was not
the
done
skill.
eating, and so they asked
Or you
the
get those
Scoutmaster
medics that just
if
have
they could be
nothing
the
but the
last to
little
leave the site and
defibrillators, and they're just
meet up
running
on
around
the trail.
killing people, reviving people,
Yeah,
killing
I saw
people.
that too.
We're close to the end of the hike anyways,
Like,
and so we'll see.
you
You don't play this game like it's meant to be played as like a group, not just a big right. You shall
Yeah.
shoot like
like
team deathmatch or something.
to finish eating. After only a few minutes of walking down the trail, Jeff once
I'll get
again
a little
ran
whatever you guys
to the
are.
back of the line until he finally
Yeah,
unless we find a fourth.
You know, he's not feeling great. He's going to sit down
Yeah, I don't
in the
know
middle of the trail and wait
have
for the senior scout, who he knew was still eating at the rest stop.
Snake. I
He
don't
said he
have
was going to
swamp.
wait for him to catch up with him,
Swamp
and then
is
he and the senior scout would walk
you
together.
need to actually play with Walker.
Now, at this point, the
I don't have
Scoutmaster's
swamp, I don't
thinking they're
have
only
Walker.
about 5-10 minutes.
I don't have
from the end of
identifier.
the hike.
Friends.
And so he didn't want him to sit there, but he figured
What are
Swamp
they
is
playing?
playing. I can.
the senior scout's going to be coming through.
He's
this
playing Battle
area.
Royale, but he's in duos, so I'm guessing he's playing with
So,
Walker. I don't have Walker's name on
playing
here.
Jeff, no big deal. We'll see at the end. And so the Scoutmaster,
So,
along with the other scouts,
I
they
wouldn't
go
invite
to
him,
the end of the
because
trail,
then we'll
which
have
comes to an
5.
end in a parking
Wouldn't work.
lot. They turn around
Yeah,
and
but
they just wait
we'll have
for
a random,
Jeff
it's
and the
fine.
senior scout to come out of the trail.
That's somebody to pick
A couple
on.
of minutes later, the senior scout emerges, but there's no Jeff.
Oh, she's gonna carry the whole team.
Scoutmaster goes over to him.
12 year old.
Where's
Fucking
Jeff? And
Bro,
the
but-
senior scout- I didn't see Jeff. I was alone, and
What's
then I
that
walked
for?
down the trail, and I didn't see anyone. And so the
gonna take me a
Scoutmaster's
few
like,
games
Jeff was sitting
to
in
get
the
used
middle
to
of the
this shit.
trail, like maybe a couple hundred meters away from you. He was waiting for you. And the senior scout says, no, I didn't see him. And so in a panic, the Scoutmaster and the rest of the scouts ran back up the
Since they gotta
trail.
put
It wasn't
plates
that
on,
far,
stuff
so they
like
got to that rest stop, and they're looking for
Yeah,
signs
put plate on
of
for
Jeff
that.
the whole way, and there's none. At the rest
Yeah, I've
stop, they
never
turned
played
around
this-
and were yelling for
this
Jeff
mode
the whole way
before.
back down to the parking lot. And again, they didn't see
Just
him.
keep running towards the center and pick up stuff you need.
In this parking lot.
Then you can get revives too.
Headquarters where they
Yeah.
informed Park
Yeah,
Services
if you
that
there's
there
towers
was
where you can revive somebody, but you have to stay
Park
near the
Service
tower
immediately sent
for a
teams
while.
out to the area
And
with
if we all die within like the
lost,
first 5
and they
minutes,
called
you get
the
a
police, who
one
sent out
respawn.
another crew
Just
of
the whole
people
team
to
comes
assist
back,
in
I
the
think.
search. Considering how well marked the trail was, everybody was baffled that Jeff could get
Engineer.
lost so quickly and so.
I don't want to be the leader.
Luckily, Jeff had a pack on.
Papa Grum. He's a level 50 with us. Holy shit.
yeah.
Around and there's snow on the ground,
That's what I'm
and
talking
there's
about.
some more, and they're thinking,
This motherfucker cares.
survival skills.
He's looking at us like
He
1,
should
6,
be
7.
able to
Like,
He's like, oh, I'm fucked.
Wheel.
yeah. I want to pass leader to him, figure out where he wants to drop. That or he might just completely ignore us too. Who knows? Solos do that, just drop in and do their own thing.
Alright, drop zone's coming up.
He's level 50 playing by himself. He ain't got no friends.
All monitors muted. Ready for update.
That means he's going to drop by himself.
Oh, yeah.
I passed with you. You can jump, leader.
Yeah.
If you hit C, you'll pass it on. Hit
Who's the
C and you'll
leader?
pass it. Your order, you are.
Pass it to me. Don't pass it to me.
I'm just gonna
Hit C and
jump.
you'll pass it on.
Now.
Or just jump and we'll go wherever you want.
On the spot, I guess.
So we're tied to you until we
We're going to the
break
golf
off.
course.
So.
We got another team
Q is
coming here
ping.
with us.
Yeah, if
Oh,
you
I
want,
got a lot.
Oh, we got a lot.
there's a lot
Yeah,
of teams here. Holy shit, it's gonna be hot.
let's do it. Cut the shoot,
Where
cut
this
the
guy's
shoot.
This guy's gonna shine.
Make 'em pay.
Yeah. How the hell?
Alright, missions just got posted. Have a look and knock out
Shit
what
feels
you can.
so weird.
Clunky. My aiming, I had to change the sensitivity way up because I was so slow.
Yeah, I gotta turn mine up. Fuck.
I couldn't do anything. 'Cause I'm so used. Like I'm one of those players that plays like on Twitch. Like I don't move my like arm at all.
6. A little better. It'll work for now. Let's get used to it. Airstrike.
Got weapon upgrade already.
Engineer
Nice.
repair tool. Oh shit.
I ain't got a weapon. I got a pistol.
Aha.
You don't have a weapon yet?
No.
Where are you? Come over here. I'll drop my pistol for you.
If
Right
you
here.
guys find any of these,
Come near me.
let me know.
Where?
There's one right there in there now. Shoot your gun. I dropped my other one. I picked up 2 because I didn't realize you had one.
Got a new mission ready.
We're not too bad. We're not in the edge and we're not in the middle.
The hell is this guy?
Oh, weapon drop.
But I gave you a grenade launcher, didn't I?
Yeah.
Alright, let's keep finding stuff then.
Yeah. Where's all the other teams that landed here? So I don't want to know.
I don't know. I haven't heard.
Somebody to our left just landed. They tried to shoot rip.
He's low, dude. He's one shot.
Down.
Yeah. Another guy.
You guys finished. 2 tagged.
Oh, there's a guy. He's
Bro.
laying behind this fucking.
I got hurt. I got a guy, but guy got me.
He's laying behind this
Don't pick
fucking
his buddy
thing.
Found him.
No.
It's all good. There's a fucking weapon drop right there on my body. Like a big old crate. Sensitivity and shit.
Hey,
Fucking me
look
up.
at me. Stay with me.
Cock and lock. Heading back.
Oh god, I'm
Yeah,
coming back
guns if they
in.
had him.
Oh shit.
Nope, I heard somebody. Just shoot it in. Is that you guys?
No, there's somebody.
Oh gosh.
Nope.
Damn,
Yeah,
I
guys
just
shot
got
me.
back,
From the
bro.
corner. Spec in. Yeah, 24 seconds. I would get a second chance to redeploy. So if you guys can stay alive.
You melted me, bro. I'm sorry.
So I got 2 kills. I got 1 kill.
I think I got one down. I didn't get it killed.
He says a kill on the screen right now.
Whoa.
He must have died.
Moving.
Is that it? I'm redeploying. I'll be right
Oh,
back
he's
here.
running out of ammo.
Dropping it.
Alright, yeah, you're last one alive.
Where the hell are you guys?
Are dead.
We're all dead.
Oh, you're all dead?
Yeah.
Shit.
So I think it's like Warzone where you kind of redeploy.
I think you
after
get
a long
one
I got
time.
rich. You have 1 chance for free, and then I gotta call them in here once I get a gun.
Oh, do you? Of course it makes noise. Why wouldn't it? Well, hey guys, we're over here. Yeah, it's a teammate.
Oh shit.
Alright, you guys are good, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Sweet.
comes back.
Alright. Well, there's no guns here, but at least you guys are back.
Fuck it. Meow. Oh, don't land on the roof. Don't land on the roof.
Ow.
Oh, I got a gun. What the hell? What's this? Smoke screen.
Got a new mission for you. Details on your map.
Think up on the roof or something, because here's something, but I just can't find it.
No, it's good. Put this open real quick. There we go.
There's definitely something on the roof.
Ooh.
Vehicle supply station.
Burn zone is closing in. You'll be compromised if you don't move it.
Enemy helicopter flying.
What? I got it. Sensitivity, bro. This shit's
All right,
still
your mission is up.
Yeah, I had to do that too. It was
crazy.
wild.
Look at
I just couldn't play like that.
30 points. Yeah, no, I can't.
Oh hell yeah!
Can't
Nice
play
carbine. There's another shotgun in here.
Some LMG,
There's
bro.
some other weapons in here.
LMG.
People need them.
Yeah, I think it reloads after a minute.
Right, where are we going? Go on the roof, I guess.
Crazy.
See what's up there.
What is this? Vehicle supply. Oh, that is.
There's a team over there, south.
Where? Hit Q and you can ping.
Contact. Enemy
Oops,
infantry
sorry.
engaging.
You know that ping?
Oh, I see him down there. Yep. There's one on the road right there.
Weapons drop.
There. Sniping this way.
RV on that
He's down there on
position.
the road strafing.
Got sight on objective.
But based on where the
New mission available.
Oh, I see him now. Come on,
Enemy
buddy.
contact in my AO.
rifle here, someone needs it.
Contact.
Contestant.
Enemy infantry engaging. Contact. Hostile troops sighted.
Oh, I see him up there.
Porter, you need another armor plate on. Hit 5. Puts an armor plate on. You only have one armor plate on.
Redeployed.
I don't
Guys on the
know.
roof.
I don't think I have any.
You guys on the rooftop.
The fire is gonna push them to us. Oh shit! Didn't mean to do that.
He'll be here soon too.
Sniper contact. Contact. Enemy infantry engaging.
I'm just gonna sit right here and be a little grub.
Are we in the
Enemy
zone though, or
contact
is the
in my
fire
AO.
gonna? We're not in the zone though, so we gotta watch how fast it pushes them in.
It's pushing them in hard now.
Contact. Hostile troops sighted.
You got good shots on them.
Yeah, I shot one once.
Got a new mission for you. Details on your map.
Don't see them yet, but they gotta come this way.
Yeah, they're gonna be pushing up here
Fire's
soon.
getting close, bro.
In your area. I'll get you some
Left of us.
deal with it.
Left. They drove in. They're behind
Oh
us.
shit!
They just drove in up the road. Yeah, so they're
Oh,
behind us
down,
now.
Bro. They're in the tank.
Oh, that's even worse. If we don't have anti-tank, we're just not taking that out.
That's me. I hit him once with the fucking anti-tank, and they got me.
Are we gonna be able to get to you? Probably not. You're gonna be in the zone.
Yeah, I'm gonna get fired off. No.
We'll have to
Ah,
redeploy you somewhere.
That's fine. Yeah, the fire got me. But I hit their tank once. It's
Sniper
half
contact.
health now. I don't know if they're out repairing it.
Fire's coming on me. Are you clear where you are?
Yeah,
Oh, shooting at
Enemy
Up or
contact in
down?
my AO.
tank.
Oh shit.
Oh, yeah, don't challenge that. Don't challenge it. If you get me back, you should be able to
Settle on a target
take it
down
out.
there.
Just trying to avoid getting hit by the tank here.
Yeah, no, you're good.
The revive station is outside the zone.
Oh fucking
Is it
tank!
tank?
Outside now?
Yeah, the tank is gonna push us. I'm trying to run this line over here. There's nowhere to go through this stupid fence either.
Ah,
There's
shit!
another one.
Oh, there's the
No.
tank blasting me. Pretty safe-ish.
I
Oh, you're
can't
the
get you.
medic. Yeah, you might be able to
Come in.
use your stims. Oh, wait, you don't have any? Wait, huh?
See on it. Oh shit.
Ooh!
I shouldn't be coming for you.
Nah.
I should have let you go.
Oh, that tank, bro. God damn.
Yeah, what the fuck? How are you supposed to defeat that?
You have to find the anti-tank
Well, I hit
things.
it.
It's the only one.
No, I have it on me. As
You
I
have it
spawn in.
as an engineer.
Yeah. I hit him once with a rocket.
Oh yeah, yeah. Can we all click different or the same class? Or can there be
I
two of
clicked
the
the
same
solo.
You can
class?
click different ones, yeah.
Oh,
You can do
I'll
the same
I
one.
did
go with a
engineer
rocket
just for
launcher
that
too.
reason.
You may want to go change your sensitivity and such. Though.
Yeah,
Get
no,
that
I got my
all set up.
sensitivities good now. It's just, yeah.
Or squad.
Fuck you, Papa. It's your fault.
Got 2 headshot kills.
That's bro.
Oh,
Papa Grump let us die.
yeah, didn't carry us worth shit.
You fucking suck.
he's a scrub 50.
Level 50 for what?
I feel like I'm playing Halo back in the day. You get 50s, you're like, oh, I'm not good.
Yeah.
Just put in 1,000 hours. That's
So yeah, you can see the green dots is what you guys choose. So we have 2 assaults. I'm choosing engineer
yeah. Like,
again.
I haven't even assault so far. Yeah, engineer will have that. It's nice to have one of those for the anti-tank. Nice to have a healing person. They also have the med bag has the I think the supply thing for getting ammo.
Oh, I think that's
That's med
support. Oh, no, right?
support. Yeah, it's the supply.
Alright, so we got 2 engineers,
Oh
recon,
no.
and an assault. No,
Like the jump leader.
Am I really? What the fuck?
I believe in you. I mean, when you get to the flight or jump out, you just say C and you can pass that.
Figured it. Right.
So I didn't see much of a clear response on if you want to switch servers or not today.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like,
I was watching, I just
People
laughing.
like- some people are like, "Oh, the lag." Other people are like, "Oh, what the gameplay?" The gunfights
Tater's
are
like,
so
fuck
much
this
easier."
and that. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have any trouble. You guys play so much.
Yeah. Well, you
Finding
heard about
this-
Tater last night. She got pissed off at me.
Oh
for
yeah, that's what I
placing
mean. Like, it won't be an issue. Like,
Yeah, placing 3 fucking things. It's like, look, like, why are you mad at me?
I'm gonna place 100 more.
Yeah, I'm gonna place 100 more right there in that spot.
What happened?
Let's go, dude. She had ideas of what she wanted to do with the base, and he placed stuff in the wrong spot. And she got pissed at him.
Yeah. She wanted to make
Yeah.
it a bedroom, but it was literally a triangle. Like,
And he's like, well, we have 3 electric furnaces we need to put down somewhere. So he put down electric furnaces,
Yeah.
which are more priority than a bed.
Oh, 100%.
in my
yeah.
opinion, it is.
And then she got pissed at him, like, well, I was gonna put a bed there.
Oh god, there's a dude on
You
me,
wanna
dude.
put
I
a
just
bed
killed him with my knife.
You killed him with a knife?
Yeah, I just got a knife kill.
I do not even know how to use my melee weapon, so good for you.
Shit.
I think you can change the settings. I gotta change the
Yeah.
settings.
I also have not found a goddamn weapon yet either.
Oh, I got 2.
Let's see a box.
What server are y'all playing on?
They're screwing around on Rusty Moose.
Rusty Moose, yeah.
Now, is there still gonna be the tree where you can buy down the
Our
blueprint?
teammate died.
Well, fucking. We'll revive him if we can. If not, not worried.
Yeah.
He gets a freebie.
Alright, I'm with
He
you
gets
again.
one for me. I'm not finding a lot of good stuff yet.
There's a crate right there.
Oh shit!
Top of
Scared
that.
the shit.
Yeah, there's a
Like
crate.
half shot and I saw.
Right there. Oop,
Uh,
doing it
I
again.
can hear him.
What, a random?
Oh, there's Swamp. Do you join us?
What?
We have a solo that keeps screwing with us, man.
Can I
Huh. We need
get up there? Oop.
we need someone.
That's good. Okay, dude.
Go next door.
Me. Oh damn, dude.
Oh,
He's on you.
come back.
Yeah, he just creeping up the stairs. He's right in that corner. Looks like a bot, dude. It's a bot.
you in training
find
mission or something? Cause there is no, I have not seen a bot.
Yeah,
Across the
Yeah,
wall. I have no ammo.
Oh,
I went.
fuck.
Well, they know we're here now.
I was
Throw
playing
grenades if you need to.
fucking Breakthrough, dude, and I had a lobby full
Playing-
of bots.
Yeah, the new breakthrough, the casual breakthrough it's like 16 real players, and then the rest of them are bots,
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
Got one.
which is great for making weapons. But the bots are still tough though.
What the fuck are they?
On me.
They're on you. I'm up above you.
One is.
I got a pistol and a
Nope.
dream. I'm getting an airstrike.
Oh, two on me. Two on me. Two on me. I got two down. Two on me. Fuck.
Oh shit, we're
I'm
getting
trying to
shot
get
at.
to you right now without
Oh,
getting
shit.
airstriked.
You're good. Oh, the building just fell on me.
Yeah, the whole airstrike came in.
Here, go ahead, grab the
Pick
shit.
up the gun, brother.
They're right above you, Porter.
It's got no ammo, dude.
Yep. They're right above you.
Oh, he's sitting right next to me. Shit, I didn't see him.
Right above you, Porter.
He's on the. He's laying down above the
I can't
hole.
pick up the
up there.
shotgun, bro. Why can't I pick up the shotgun? God.
Oh, shit.
Second chance.
Did y'all
Second
see me
chance.
trying to pick up that shotgun? That motherfucker would not.
Picked
me
up a
no
gun. No one
indication.
what the fuck?
I picked up,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
first gun I
Going
picked
straight
up,
down,
no
bro.
ammo.
He's got 2 kills.
Sorry, I think that was me. I used that gun and fucking killed 2 dudes.
One of my guns had no ammo in it. I shot 20 bullets and it went out of ammo. And I was like, oh, sweet.
What is this? Destroys hand grenades. I don't need the trophy system. What is this? Call of Duty?
Yeah, upgrades. Weapon upgrades.
Yeah, you get weapon upgrades. I'm talking about like, I just found a random. Nope. Armor.
Plates
Are
on.
these places?
Some assault rifle. Oh, there's an anti-tank over here.
I'm gonna go to the redeploy real quick. Alright, I have to redeploy. Alright.
Oh shit, you're deploying somebody?
Yeah, Porter.
It's so loud.
Yeah.
It doesn't way faster with 2 people, does it? Or it does.
Yes. The more you have,
Okay.
the faster it goes.
Fuck you.
Alright, trying to do that. Locking you in. You're in, buddy.
Cock and lock.
I'm in.
Oh, here we
Need
go.
One of these
20
weapons
shots.
for him, I guess. Okay, I'm gonna open this.
Well, get your plates on too. If you... Oh, there's an assault rifle. It's green. Some needs an upgrade.
I like blue.
What? That was crazy.
I had 2 blues.
I got
Looking
one
good.
regular and one blue.
There's guns in here, so. There's some more back here, Porter. This way.
A random left.
I don't know if you need another one, but
Yeah, random left.
what'd you get already? You have 2 guns? Did you switch out your pistol or whatever?
Yeah, I
got a
got
good
two
crate
guns.
here if you want it.
Okay, sweet. That's good.
I got
Yeah,
31
good crate
bullets, but
I think it's a good crate. I don't know, it's purple or not purple.
Who has the
orange.
supply crate? Does one of us have a supply?
I don't know. PDW.
Whoever's
Oh,
the-
UAV Overwatch.
Whoever's the support class.
Us.
Yeah, we don't have support. We died by a tank last round, so we got 2 engineers.
Yeah, it hunted us down, man.
Like that, yeah. Did you guys get
Which one are we
this crate?
supposed? No. I don't know where we are. I'm just running a circle right now.
Intel case. Ooh.
Toxic
How do I grab
places.
it?
we're in the circle.
Watch your route.
There's a crate in here. It's orange.
You can open them.
Ooh.
There's an upgrade there for some PW kit. Yeah, you pick up PW. Hold on the upgrade and get the upgrade for that weapon.
I don't
You
think
want
I
that one.
have. Yeah, I got that. I'll upgrade it.
You hold down E until it clicks, and then you get to select one or 2 of the upgrades.
Capacity or accuracy? Let's go with accuracy. That's
Check your mission.
Sweet.
acoustic sensor, AV.
We were still
tank
inside.
mine.
There's a lot of vehicles here downtown area.
Yeah. Guess we just start
We need-
running and.
We probably need to move in Yeah, before we're out here in the open too long.
Oh, I got an LMG right here. If somebody wants.
How do you switch your cannon sight? I have a cannon sight on this side.
And it,
Well, let's just do it.
I don't know.
Custom drop.
I think that was me, sorry.
Oh, so there's like
I'm using a
loadouts.
controller.
Are you using
Yeah, you can
controller?
make a custom loadout.
Is the custom loadout for everyone?
No, it's what you make.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, no, I meant like, can everyone see it?
Yes.
How's that? It's an ammo drop right here.
Got it.
Picked up and drop it up here when we go. Somewhere
What
not in
kind
the middle
of
of the road.
frames are y'all getting?
58 to 60.
No idea.
Yeah, that's me too.
That's about where my computer maxes out, like I said earlier.
How do you find your?
Drop.
How do you do it?
I have it in the overlay on my. Over this big building, maybe?
Drop over here.
Just following Peg. I want to get in that big building up the top. But
Yeah, I got
there you
no
go.
classes
Yeah,
made,
okay.
so
somewhere, maybe this one. I don't know.
somebody's airstriking somebody over here. So.
People have been in.
Sniper.
People been in here. So
Oh shit!
Order. Order, no.
he's below us.
Oh, we got go.
He's below.
Ah, can I make it? I made it. I'm okay. But there's people watching over that airdrop, just like Call of Duty.
Oh, fuck. There's another guy sniping from the other side of the damn map, bro.
Can you get to me, Peg? Crawl this
I
way.
can try to. Oh, he gets sniping. There's a sniper in that destroyed building. Fuck, I lit one of them up.
It's definitely snipers.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
Porter just found that out. Yeah, that's the same dude that got me.
No. That
So
guy just
just.
Yeah.
soaked my damage. Get freaking rocket launchers though.
I got 3 kills.
Is that team 3 kills or us?
I got squad kills. I had 1 kill. What?
Squad.
thought
I had 0. I had 0 kills. Porter had 1 and Angry had Peg 2. I like Porter's 1 melee kill as a knife.
Yeah.
Get them tags.
Alright, man. Alright, we gotta get swamped in here.
Menu,
I'm here. If y'all
Gotta
can
get
afford.
on our team. Yeah. We just gotta throw you in.
I'm in. I'm in the waiting lobby.
Yeah, and join the party.
Going back.
Yes.
I'm in the party.
That's what he's saying.
Oh, we gotta
He's
back
saying
out to main
join.
lobby then?
No, he
Sorry,
should
I
be
got-
in here.
I fucked it
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I'm here.
up. No,
When we start
no,
another
That's
one,
on
he
it.
should start in with us.
Yep.
Level 73 for what? No, I'm just kidding.
He's a badass, man.
That's what I was playing Conquest while y'all were playing Rust.
Yeah, that's what I want to play. I'll play some Conquest.
Conquest was fun. I enjoyed Conquest, and then they had a no vehicle Conquest, which was fun, and then the Breakthrough was kind of fun.
Red stick.
Well, we've come in second. That's as close as I've come to a win.
Did you? Were you playing with Walker earlier?
I don't. He was trying to fix his computer. No, me and another buddy, and
I saw Welker on too, so I figured you were playing with him.
Chucky. No, he was on
What are
talking.
y'all
But
choosing?
I'm running support.
You're in support.
I can't see you. I'm not in the game with you, am I?
No, it's Badass Ninja.
I'll do assault.
Alright,
Yeah,
let's
you
back
pulled
out.
somebody else. You pulled somebody else in.
Wait, what the fuck?
I screwed up somehow.
I'm quitting to the main menu.
Alright. Quitting main menu. Order. Poor guy's gonna drop by himself. What the fuck?
Damn it.
Then I'm gonna
Screwed
join
up.
his game back in.
Yeah, we have everyone here. What the fuck? What did it?
I went to main menu and it apparently pulled me out. Your party's
I got us.
leave current party no.
Yeah. We'll just all have
That's
to join back up on Porter.
I need to leave your party and come back.
Maybe. Let me see.
I might have screwed it up in between somehow.
Yeah, let me leave party. And I'll invite y'all.
Lead party leader. I'm a party leader now. I don't want to be a party leader. Join Peg's party.
Got it.
Right? Or am I joining Porter's party?
Have a fresh start.
Joining.
Alright, fresh
All
start.
right. I see 3 of us. I see 4 of us.
Yep, 4.
All right. Carry us, Swamp.
Maybe it's to the promised land.
Hey, if we work together like we did the other night in duos, like you was doing that little thing and we was getting kills.
Oh, I just probably be the.
Doing
I'll be the
that
recon guy again. I was being the
It's
recon guy,
definitely-
and they kept on throwing up the alerts. You could see where they were, and then Swamp would take them out. They'd be flying the drone around, spotting people.
Yeah, I'll be
It's
honest.
definitely
Like, I
a-
was getting those dudes right there, but there was that sniper just sitting there watching.
Using that
Wait.
bigger tower next to us, yeah.
Yeah, by
It's-
himself.
It's definitely a team game. You know what I mean? Like working together, flowing together.
Yeah. Alright, everyone in.
We're all here.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Kick some ass.
Let's go.
Chew bubblegum. Damn,
I'm all out
I'm all out of gum.
I ain't got time to bleed.
I got to bleed.
You've been shot.
Oh, man, I
ain't
remember
got
my
time
first
to
set of tits from that game.
What?
There's that assault engineer for it.
You first said, remember the strippers in that game when you were so young? Like, oh man.
Oh yeah.
I can run recon. Let's see, motion sensor.
I like recon. The recon's pretty sweet.
Okay.
Now they'll drop rocket launchers.
I'll be assault then. Yeah. Yeah, the recon's pretty sweet because the motion sensor, every time you put it down, it's a small radius now you, and then you can pick it back up and redeploy it again somewhere else. And then you can launch out a drone where then you can fly it around and you can spot people using the ping, which is pretty awesome.
Vroom, vroom.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know that, but if you call in a counter or UAV, if you hit your big mini map, your big map up, you can see everybody. And just like sometimes on the mini
Look,
map,
Mike.
small one, it won't show.
Look. What's that?
Hmm.
Who's that?
Porter's got his assistant in training.
Yeah, got his duo. All right, PJ's party jump leader, jump master.
I'm jump master.
You're the jump master, daddy.
Jesus.
Ask if you want.
Alright.
I'm gonna
Just find a
pass it.
spot, it don't matter. Anyway,
Don't pass. Just
Don't pass it.
pick a spot and jump.
So stupid.
I can die at any of them. Just as good as.
Exactly.
Coming up. On the ground.
I die either way.
Target area. Online.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Ready for updates.
It's just the little motherfuckers that are sitting like third partying. That's shit.
Going.
Oh, we got our fourth
Ground
person.
zero.
Clear to jump. Go to
Ground
your
zero.
position.
Oh, fuck.
Where we going?
Follow you.
Ground zero.
You said ground zero. I'm just
What
following
building
until
are
I
we
get
going
close
in?
enough.
Alright, I stopped. It's okay.
This first one right here.
Oh, hit the ground.
Going down
Should
on
not have done
the.
that.
Ooh, we got guys in front of us over here. Oh, they're fighting over there.
Oh shit! I didn't mean to throw that.
I don't know.
I got weapons. I'm good.
I'm gonna try to find a guy.
I got a crate there. Enemies were last seen over there on the two team. I got another crate here.
Heads up. Mission
Holding an overwatch for us.
Who's got a I've got a PW kit and an MG kit if somebody's rocking LMG. Where you at, Falco? Come on.
I'm on the roof over here. I already picked
got a
up
road
a purple
to-
gun.
We got to roll together back there.
Rocking. Gone. Look at that.
I'm with you. Leave no man behind, son.
I'm leaving guns back here. I see one right there. It's a badass one. An LMG? No, that's
There were guys right over here, Porter. Watch it.
so slow. What's in this kit right here? This one's got carbine.
I need an SMG if
Check your mission.
They're moving.
Guys
I get
on me.
this. Pushing
Oh,
up.
there's another
We're a
one.
little bit farther behind. We're set behind you. To your
There's
right?
two. Yeah, there's two.
One right there to your right.
right behind that box. He's running left.
Okay.
Sniper
So?
to the right. Up top.
On me,
Got
behind
one.
me.
Got one knocked up top.
Trying to reposition
On
one.
me, to my left.
Oh, sniper,
left of
sniper
the
just hit
crates,
me.
Left of the crate.
Not sure where the sniper is, but he just hit me.
I got
Left of
two
the crate.
dead.
Now I have a sniper on me right now.
I'm getting sniped. Yep.
No, dude.
I thought I saw a shot from over yonder a while ago when I
Oh,
was down
there he
there.
is. He's pushing up.
Don't.
Dude, where's the sniper?
He was over on the other hill.
Was it their team? Or was it a completely random dude?
I think it was,
I think it was a
team that
different
ran up.
team.
Oh,
Oh
say,
my
say.
god, it fucking spawned me all the way over.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
be better to just start fresh.
Well, we all are.
Yeah, I got 10 seconds.
Dropping again. Pistol. Drop that. Nice gun.
Nope.
2 seconds.
Squad mates
Coming
are
in.
back into action.
You.
Two
I'm
was
landing
down.
in the house beside you, PJ.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna go down to this house down here. What's that? What the fuck was that?
Oh, that came in hot. That hurt.
Yeah, I did too. Shit fucked me up. Oh, I got a lot of snipers.
Sniper right here with an assault kit. If you need it.
Well, engineer, there's a safe here if someone wants it. Wherever in here, sorry.
Engineer has to open it.
So, what do you guys want to do? We'll try to open that.
I ain't engineer. I can't. I got a counter UAV.
Somebody broke that.
Ammo going down right here.
Nice.
I'm trying to ping that.
Right, where's that ammo? Oh, it's right there.
Right here. Yeah.
Alright, I'm coming up.
I have an assault rifle
Great.
thing if somebody needs it.
Check your missions.
Do you need it? Are you running LMG?
I got. What do I got? Like. Oh, I got an assault rifle here. Yeah, I do.
There's an unknown signal in the target.
Right here.
Find out where it's coming from and see if it is intel we can use.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go align
thanks.
them antennas. Get us some goodies.
Yeah, that's. Alright. Ammo. You guys already went through these buildings.
I went through a few of them over there, yeah.
What do we have to do on this antenna? Just stand on it to align it?
Yeah, you just gotta find 100.
What I gotta do?
Look at your little 9% down at the bottom. You gotta get it to 100.
88. Oh, up and down has a number. 100 right there.
Yep, now we got a supply drop coming in.
On that hack signal?
We gotta stand
Oh,
in
we
it.
gotta hack it. Yeah, we gotta hack it.
Oh no.
Let it go without a fight.
Protect me, Squire. Drone out. Let's see what we got. We. Nothing yet.
Oh. Alright.
Enemy signal is decrypted.
I mean,
Put
hell
the
is
intel
right
to
there.
work.
Airdrop rewards. Oh, nice.
Yep, it's coming.
There's something outside here. It's orange. It's on this platform out back.
It just killed me. I'm under the map.
Friendly's waiting.
Can y'all revive me?
Where's the revive thing at?
Sure.
Literally right to your right.
Right here. I got it. I got it.
The more, if y'all all go over, it shouldn't take very long.
Yeah.
That's insane that that hit me and pushed me under the map.
Copy request for support. Stand by.
God, that's so gay.
Oh, I got an airstrike now.
Hell yeah.
First strike.
Picked it up.
I had a
Yeah,
freaking
helicopter.
nice LMG.
We can get it again here. Still good.
Be ready. A teammate is redeploying and might need you to
Appreciate it, boys.
You're. Got some crates over there too.
Got killed by a fucking box.
Should be an achievement.
Is that a
It should be.
chopper? Oh, got a guy floating down.
That's
Okay.
me.
Hit Q on it. No, air chopper. Watch out for the chopper.
Oh shit.
Who's the engineer on that one?
Right back.
I can try and shoot it
Are
out
we
the
in,
sky.
are we in this storm?
got a new mission for you.
No, we're good.
No. Man, they just airstrike the fuck out of that. There was somebody over there.
Trying to just watch.
There's another safe over here. Somebody's got an engineering tool.
The helo's gone.
Shit, what was that?
Yeah, helo.
Down.
Not shit.
Nice work. Looks like you found some solid intel.
Uh-oh, car?
It's me.
Nope. Get the fuck out of here.
I got an upgrade for an MG. I mean, for a LMG. Storm's rolling.
Where we gotta go? We're still pretty decent, actually.
Alright, new mission is up.
We gotta go like
Just
northeast.
gotta watch for people
Yeah.
coming in behind us, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm more worried about.
Oh shit, getting shot at. Ow. From the north.
Guys on me.
Where?
Oh, never mind. That's
Okay, I
airstrike
got
in the distance.
sniped. I got sniped. I got sniped.
Oh no, there's guys on me. Somebody just threw a nade
I
at
got
me.
sniped.
Yeah, somebody
They're
sniped.
They're coming up. They're coming up from the north.
Oh
I see 'em.
shit.
Yeah, they're coming up from the north.
On me.
Artillery.
I put an airstrike down. Days are close.
Are you?
I
Yeah,
did.
he did.
I'm falling back a little bit. I
Yeah,
don't
they're
know.
trying
right
to-
there. Fuck.
There's no teams third partying us. I just got killed by.
And
At least got pinched between two teams.
Got a new mission for you. Details on
Hopefully they fight. See him, Porter? Left down there, pool. There it is.
Ping him up, Porter. See him.
There's one to your right, too. There's one to your right. So, farther right. Hit Q on him. Hit Q on him. Still ping him. For swamp.
who's he?
This should be.
I say just camp in a building
Yeah.
and fucking stay there, dude. There they are.
Cyber!
Oh, there's a whole team in front of Porter.
Oh yeah, that's all you, bro. God damn.
Damn, there's
I see
four.
you, Porter. I'm off to jump
Go over the
over.
fence.
Run,
Yeah.
run.
There's a
Run
team.
like a bitch.
Oh, you guys gotta get in. You're gonna turn right and you have to get in somewhere. You're on the high side of the.
Yeah, we're
Shit.
going. We're just
To
right
your
here in
right.
front of me. Live pain. Live body.
Ah!
Son of a bitch.
Run. Oh, nice
Oh
shot.
damn, that sniper's fucking crazy, bro. Yeah, that
Ah.
sniper's the one that got me. Oh,
Takes so
sniper
many
got
hits
both
to
of you,
take someone
bro.
down.
Your side's been wiped out.
I didn't
Don't
hit
get hung
shit.
up on it. You'll get
Thick.
Alright. Alright, I gotta call it anyways, fellas. I'll be playing this more
Alright.
tomorrow, though.
Alright, Mike.
GG's, buddy.